Ladies and gentlemen, we are MythVision. Welcome back to MythVision Podcast. It's been a long day working here at the house. We are at the end. Our move is soon. I look forward to getting to our destination with our kids again, being reunited. It's been a few months. I want to talk about what just happened last Friday in Western New York with Salman Rushdie. He was stabbed and attacked, obviously, by a single person. My research tells me that Iran was not involved, but they praised the deed. And I want to discuss why I think this attack and the mindset of many religious are the things I'm actually working against here at MythVision. I am all about expression, freedom to express your religion, freedom to express your thoughts. In fact, I'm friends with everybody from all of these different traditions. But the harms within fundamentalist thinking and taking very dated concepts and trying to apply them for all places and all times is a real issue, I think. And I live in America. I'm in a great place where I have that opportunity to be able to speak freely against religions, no matter how critical I want to be. It's really down to the people who make these religions their identity. So when you're being critical of their religion, you're being critical of them. And if you're being critical of their religion, you're attacking them. And they see that as like some type of force against them. You know, this reminded me of a case. I want to start off with a bang here and just show you an example of what I'm getting at. Obviously, the Patreon. But let's go to Michael Servetus. I want to start with my area of expertise, at least from my experience as Christianity. It wasn't too long ago, 400 or 500 years ago, that if you had unorthodox theological positions and yet still claimed to be a Christian, you could be burned at the stake by the state. And of course, Michael Servetus was killed, and at the hands, actually, of John Calvin. Servetus was burned alive at Champel on October the 27th. His execution produced a Protestant controversy on imposing the death penalty for heresy, drew severe criticism upon John Calvin, and influenced Laelius Sconinus, I don't know how to pronounce it, a founder of modern Unitarian views. But if you go up, it was literally Calvin who was pushing for the death penalty, but he didn't want him to burn. He wanted him to be decapitated. So this guy was expressing his religious freedom within a religion and, of course, was killed. We've come a long ways. I'd say we've come a long ways in America. And, of course, this is what happened to Salman Rushdie. For those who don't know the attack, he was stabbed multiple times. And, of course, he survived it, but really damaged, potentially going to be blind in one eye. And at this conference, this is the interesting thing about this conference. He was going to this conference to speak about how America is a safe haven for people who don't believe in their religions, who are leaving these highly control cult mentality type of groups within whatever religion it may be, whether Islam, whether Christianity, wherever it might be. You can escape and have a safe haven of freedom of thought, freedom of religion. So he was coming to express that and got attacked at a very place he was going to speak about how we're safe here. And so what is the ironic chance that that happens in America? I think this should send signals to people about what the harms of ideologies and putting your identity into these ideologies so much that if someone is being critical of it, you feel like you have to take them out. You have to kill them. In 1989, the Iran leader actually put out what's called a Fatwa, however you want to pronounce it, F-A-W-T-A. It's a religious decree to have Salman Rushdie killed for like 2 million plus pounds. He wanted this guy dead. And if you read the book, The Hot Verses, I'm not going to do that on air. First of all, I'm not interested in repeating what he says in the book, but I do want to give a little plug for those who are actually curious like I was and went and bought the book, Salman Rushdie, The Satanic Verses. Now, the statement or the title, The Satanic Verses, is an Orientalist phrase that is kind of put in the mouth of Orientalists against Islam. as we're discussing Islam. So, of course, Muslims will be like, hey, this is a jab at Islam. But Salman was expressing something as an ex-Muslim. He was expressing, I believe he was an ex-Muslim. I believe that's what I was reading when, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Somebody let me know. I think he was an ex-Muslim. But he speaks about these verses that are in early, what do you call that? Looking at the Quran here. I don't know why I can't think. Tafsirs. So early tafsirs in the traditions, of course, and Sunni, and then Shiite has less tradition when it comes to this topic, but it's still there. This tradition is in the Islamic, like nobody had to make this up. Christians didn't invent these narratives. Jews didn't create these narratives. This is within the bubble of Islam and the early traditions that are going around trying to express. Did Muhammad say, where's the verses here? Talking about Lat, Uzza, and Manat, who are three goddesses, to pretty much bow down and honor them as, I believe, angels or daughters of Allah. I can't remember the exact phrasing here. But these are images, of course, of these pre-Islamic goddesses that are down in Arabia. And the Quraysh tribe were worshiping these goddesses. We have this in the early traditions and stuff. And there's this story that Muhammad couldn't get through to these people. And they're trying to find a compromise to get the Qurayshi tribe, if I'm even saying the name of the tribe correctly, to kind of compromise with his Allah. And so if they could fuse and have them be daughters of Allah or angels of Allah, then they could find a way to have them live in harmony. And of course, he says these verses, and in early narrations and different traditions, there's this idea that he did so, even the pagans bowed down. The leader of that tribe, everybody was like, yes, this is good, and praising Allah and the three goddesses. And then there seems to be a revelation that comes from Allah through Gabriel saying, no, those weren't my words. So of course, he corrects those surahs. He takes it back and is like, no, those weren't the words of God. And there's a correction being made. This has created such controversy. Not only do you see it kind of getting changed within Islamic narrations over time, as I was reading, if you go to academia, I'll put this in the chat. Right here is Sean Anthony's article, who's a leading academic in this particular field, who wrote on this. I highly recommend you read it. It'll give you a balanced understanding of what's going on. But I was reading this just the other day, and I was impressed at some of the stuff he points out and the various discussions that go on. So it is something that's there. It is something that is there. So here's Salman Rushdie. When he got attacked, I decided, you know what? I've never read this book. Is it on Audible? Because I'm working on my house, which I'm still in. For those who are asking, yes, it's an empty house. I'm ready to move. I am going to be hopefully relocated in my new house in the next week or so. But I got the book. I started listening to it. I got about halfway through it, and I stopped. I'm not a big novel fiction type of person. It's just not my cup of tea. But I could see why the controversy came up. And in this, I think that he makes claims about Aisha. He says stuff like, he plays this narrative about Muhammad, which I was very confused about this book. I thought this is going to be like some historical book talking about these verses and their history and narration and what's going on. And it was more of a fictional writing. It's like an epic type thing that is discussing something completely different, but it's in code discussing what's going on with Islam and Muhammad and the Satanic Verses. So it kind of bounces between narratives, and it confused me a bit because I didn't know what I was expecting. Then it gets to this part where Muhammad is actually, the way he narrates it is Muhammad doesn't really know what to do. He's like, man, I need to grow this movement. I need to convince people to come and worship Allah. So he compromises. And the way that Salman Rushdie paints it would be offensive to somebody who thinks he's the prophet and he couldn't get this wrong. Or the way it's offensive to Christians when I talk about how Jesus failed. But should we put out fatwas and try to kill people for this? This is the thing I'm trying to get people to educate themselves and move away from that kind of crap. I did a poll. I'm part of a Facebook group. I'll leave it unnamed. It is an Islamic, or if you will, Muslim group. And somehow I'm a moderator because I think they know that I'm respectful. Like, I'm not here to tear everyone down or be obnoxious about my approach being critical and taking a historical method and wanting to study these religions. So I created a poll, and I was really honestly curious to see the kind of answers I'd get. This was on August the 14th. As a Muslim, do you think what happened to Salman Rushdie is a good thing? Comment down below why yes or no. And of course, 20% of the votes are, and there's 81 votes, so 20% said yes. They thought what happened to Salman Rushdie is a good thing. 76% said no. Overwhelming consensus of Muslims said, no, this isn't good. And bravo to them, in my opinion. Then it must have been one vote. 2% said, I'm not sure, because I added that category. But I made sure I cut the poll off so people couldn't add other, polls and tried to take away from the point. I'm just trying to get an answer. And I'm not going to name the person, but the person who said yes, they said the worst things about it are, number one, the Western acceptance of blasphemy. Remember Michael Servetus, right? Blasphemy and hate speech towards all ideologies and especially Islam. Number two, the fact that his book was forgotten, now people will remember it. So I'm like, I could probably, if I was a Muslim and I was like, I'm tired of people, taking this thing sincere. Well, this guy's action, this 24-year-old guy who attacked Salman Rushdie, now is making this book extremely popular again. Everybody's going to go buy a copy, even if it's just to show support for a person, no matter if you think the book is bunk or if it's a sucky novel or not. It doesn't matter. He's going to get support now. And everybody's going to go and they're going to go, you know what? I support freedom of speech. So I totally disagree with number one. But number two, it's like, well, these actions are going to get more people's attention in realizing how harmful some of these ideologies can be if you take them to the length that others have taken them. Not everybody does. So that's why we don't want to name Islam and say everyone thinks the same way. Here, there's a reason that there's disputes. This is the same problem with those who want me to be critical of Judaism. That's what they want me to focus on only. And it's the tone that they carry with it in the comment section. If you ever see those comments beneath my videos, it's almost like if you aren't slamming Jews and slamming the chosenness and bigotry that is within Judaism against the Goyim, et cetera, then you know what? You're secretly a Jew or you're afraid. And it's like, no, we've talked about that. We've had these conversations. We do that. But they make up less than 1% of the world's population. Most Jews aren't religious, and they don't all think the same. So we need to stop painting a single picture for everyone that categorizes them in these faiths or in these traditions, the culture, whatever. Someone said, or they said in number three, the fact that his book actually isn't that good to be giving such fame, it's just a lame story, and 3 people liked it. So I thought it wasn't that great. I'm not going to say, look, I may not have good taste. Maybe you're a novelist and you loved that story. I was lost reading it. But I know the points where it was hot, where it was like, okay, this is where you are taking a jab. And it's clear a Muslim would be offended. But in 1989, they put this massive fatwa with all this money against him to have him killed. Anyway, instead of asking what Muslims think, you should ask what Islam says. Clearly, Muslims have different views. That's the hard thing. Do all Muslims actually agree on what Islam says? Are they in all agreement on this? I mean, I don't know. That's something that I wonder if that's up for debate. According to the Quran, you can believe and disbelieve at any point in your life, someone said. It is entirely up to you, and then it is up to Allah to decide on your fate in life and to see the hereafter. Allah did not appoint anyone to police your life. Thus, in this context, I disagree as to what happened to him. Good for you. On the other hand, taking a stand on principle publicly, no matter how right, exposes you to public scrutiny and judgment. So in this view, he have to accept the risk of personal indignity. I mean, everybody takes a risk, right? I take a risk being critical here on MythVision. Salman Rushdie tasted his own medicine for inciting hatred and violence. Only Allah knows it's a punishment for him or a trial to revert to right path, your question is wrong. How can we know it's good or not? So this is like, can we read the mind of God kind of thing? But it sounds like, he shouldn't have been critical. I wonder if Muslims feel the same way about people who are critical of atheists, or if people are critical of Christianity. At what level can you draw the line? Can I go around? Well, maybe Christianity is a touchy one because they still count Jesus in their tradition. This is tough. So let me continue reading this here for everybody. Tumors are to be removed. They are not welcome to infect the whole body. So this seems to be an interpretation of mine. Cut him out. Cut him. Kill him. He deserves to die. That's what it sounds like to me. It's never good to attack or kill anyone. If you are an evil sinner, feel free to sin all your life. Just remember, Allah will hold you accountable on Judgment Day. That's like the response Christians typically give, right? When a person under the garb of freedom speak of another person's mother with insults, the one making the insults is asked to get punched. So this is, I think, a reference to when he talks about Aisha, and I think he mentioned something about Aisha being a whore or something like that in the book. It was like, really, he has some graphic language and sexual, vivid descriptions in the book. Interesting and heartening that as of this writing, the no vote is the vast majority. I'm going to skip that. I wasn't particularly upset to read he's been attacked. You do not insult someone's religion and think people will forget about it. But I think his real test will come to him once he closes those eyes forever. Here we go again. Someone said, Derek, this will be an interesting episode. Obviously, the person who did this committed moral wrong, and there's no justification for this. Even if he deserved pushback, that should take place under the rule of law. That said, and then he goes on, can you be precise to what happened to him? Someone asked. I'm only going on the accounts that he was stabbed. Running on stage and stabbing a defenseless elderly man who is unarmed can never be justified, no matter what he may have done or said. These are the actions of hot-headed jahils. Derek, I want to know your opinion. What do you think? And I said, I think it's not good, not a good thing at all. They just said, okay. According to the Quran, to take one life is against humanity. So, Derek, can you also ask Christians what happened to Michael? And they said Miguel Servetus, but Michael Servetus, I didn't think it was a good thing, and that's why I opened up that way. Anyway, there's more. There's some more votes here, and that's something that passed us. But I wanted to bring that up, right? Like, I wanted to ask, like, how do Muslims feel about it? And of course, they don't agree and they agree, depending on who you ask and what they think about this. If someone is on the side of the road speaking critical of Islam, should they be attacked? Like, should you go and attack them? No matter what they're speaking about Islam. Like, if they're talking about how they think it's not true, how they don't think Prophet Muhammad is really a prophet, the same thing goes for Christianity. Should I have the right to say that I think Jesus is a failed apocalyptic prophet who did not actually tell the truth, even though he may have believed what he was saying was going to happen? Visions of grandeur? I don't know. Do I have the right to be critical and say that the religion isn't true and that it's built on mythology and legend and it's actually not reality? Well, I think Muslims might agree with me if they think Jesus wasn't actually crucified and that many people believed he was, and therefore the religion of Christianity, which is centered around the crucifixion, death, and resurrection of Jesus, is a myth. So they say, oh, Christians are wrong. I'll agree with you up to a certain point. But it's like, I'm critical of Jesus a lot on this channel, and many Muslims enjoy watching what I do here. But if you do it with Muhammad, that draws a line they're not willing to cross. Like, they're not willing to go that far. Muhammad is the focal point of Islam, it seems. That's how it seems to me. Let me scroll up here. I might have missed some of you guys' chat. I've been in the middle of just explaining some things, and we'll pull some stuff up. Paul Sinny, forgive me on butchering your name. I thought Islam is supposed to be clear and concise. Well, when you start to read, and I am no expert on any of this. I am not an expert on Muslim thought on this, Islam, the traditions, how they narrated Muhammad's biography, all of this stuff. Like, I am just scratching the surface, but I am interested in scholarship and learning because I want to know. I want to learn what is going on. What are the different views? The same way I approach Christianity, I think that I can approach Islam that way, and I'll discover interesting facts about it, finding out how these people thought, what they believed, etc. And I think when you educate yourself in that way, even if you're not a believer, you at least have a better understanding and not be so, can I use the term prejudice towards those who are Muslims? I think that you can at least understand what they are saying, their tradition, and have some common ground to discuss these matters, even if you disagree. That's my opinion. But yeah, as far as clear and concise, I think they'll all go, well, the Quran, of course, is the words of God. Like this is clearly, God has preserved and protected the words of God. This is their angle. But there's disputes about transmission and what's really true and tafsirs and how they interpret these things later on. And there's a lot of that going on. And Muslims admit, like there are false things that are said by those who call themselves Muslims throughout the history of Islam. But yeah, it isn't as clear as you would think. It's probably clearer in some respects than what you would see with Christianity and its confusion of what's the correct Christology and the debates that happen endlessly for centuries until we finally figured out, oh yeah, it's that Trinity thing with all equal for all eternity, eternally begotten, stuff like that. All right, let me see. Did I miss somebody? Paul, making sure I didn't miss you. Okay. I think I got everybody. Just making sure I didn't miss anything because sometimes this stuff scrolls. All right, another thing I wanted to bring up. Reading his article here, which is really worth reading. Did the prophet himself utter the Satanic Verses? Why did the prophet utter the Satanic Verses? Did the prophet realize on his own that he had erred, or he was unaware of having erred until he was corrected by Gabriel? One of the goals I have with this channel is not only to have those who are non-believers, those who are Christians, those who are Jews, whatever, try to understand different areas of expertise, whether it be Islam or whatever the tradition may be, to understand what they are saying. But I also I hope the people who hold to these traditions will also try to put on the shoes of those who don't believe their tradition and why they think the way that they do. You can't even see this very well. So let me zoom in so everybody can actually see what Sean Anthony's writing here. Go back. All right. I hope you can see this. The questions are asked. Boom, boom, boom. Where did it go? Here it is. Did the prophet realize on his own that he had erred, or was he unaware of having erred until he was corrected by Gabriel? If you take the narrative that we're given, the way that it's being said, not by later traditions in some respects, but early traditions seem to imply that like Satan or the evil one, if you will, put these words in the mouth of the prophet because he's supposedly receiving these revelations and they're coming from the angel Gabriel, but he gets corrected about it. Now, if you're a naturalist like me or someone who doesn't believe that Muhammad is the prophet and you think, no, I don't believe this religion's true, how would you explain if this did happen? Now, I know a lot of Muslims, I want to say up front, they will say like the narration of this isn't great, or they'll find ways to say this isn't historical. This is more legendary narration, explaining a few of the surahs. And what are those surahs? They are, of course, Surah 53, 19, and 20. And what's going on here, of course, there's some tafsirs early on that try to explain it. And when I looked on Quran.com at the tafsirs, they don't actually go into this issue that Sean Anthony talks about in this article of his that is in like all sorts of early Islamic tradition. And so what would explain it? Well, if you're like me, you'd go, well, was he trying to convince a large tribe of people? Was he trying to convince a large tribe of people to come to his particular faith practice and that Allah is the supreme God that we need to worship? And it's not being successful. So like, if it's not being successful, how do I persuade people to come? I mean, these are just normal questions that anyone would ask. It gets sensitive when someone holds to those beliefs. That's because you can't see it the way that we're seeing it. You believe he is the prophet and that this is the holy book of God and that this corrects all of the earlier monotheistic traditions from Judaism and Christianity. They got the record straight in the 700s AD or CE. So why would Muhammad have said these things is a question. Did he really believe that God told him these things? Now, for me, I don't think that there is a God, and I don't think that there's an angel telling him, hey, these gods are acceptable. So this would have been something, if this is historical, that I think Muhammad would have concocted. The pressures of his movement not being successful, he's being persecuted in the region he's at the point, and I think this is in Medina, and like he's dealing with a lot of pressure from the overwhelming pagans around him. Well, let's compromise. This might be the case. And this is something that I think Salman Rushdie is trying to imply in his book, which got him into a heap of trouble. But of course, he was very blunt and speaking freely and critical of Islam, which caused him the headache of the leader of Iran putting out this religious decree against him. I do want to play something for everybody in here that I thought was really interesting. And I think that you watching it will probably agree with as well. Where are we at here? Hold on. Did I close it? I hope I didn't close it. Okay. There we go. Now let me see. Here we go. At the end of this little clip, I had to play this earlier. This was wonderful in terms of the ending. And here we go.
For pause.
If you're a writer, you should continue to write, and you should write bravely and truthfully.
Which is exactly what he did.
Yes, art lives on, but
Look at the guy on the right's eye. He was in the attack as well. So he got attacked in the attack. And so this guy's eye is like swollen shut.
writers do not. And it's our job to defend them.
As Salman Rushdie himself once queried, just what is freedom of expression? Without the freedom to offend, he said, it ceases to exist.
Now imagine that. Imagine if you said, Derek, I think that atheists are the worst breed of humans, and I think that, you know, they are just going to destroy us and cause us to go to extinction. I mean, or I don't get offended by any of that stuff. It's kind of weird, but like I remember being offended when atheists would jab at Christianity in the debates that they would have, whether it was with William Lane Craig and stuff. When I was a Christian, there was an offense taken when they would say things like that. When Christopher Hitchens would come out, guns blazing, you know, swinging the bat at Christianity, I did not like him. I did not like the things he said. I did not like him. And oftentimes I'd get triggered as a Christian. But I think it was necessary. And I'm glad that there are people who can speak like that freely. So anyway, I wanted to bring this topic and my thoughts to the forefront is that I feel like we need to find a way where we can have that in a secular society. This is why, if not, if it's like, say, Sharia law rules, like, do you honestly think we're going to be able to be critical of Islam if Sharia law rules? Do you think you can actually be critical and approach this like this? I can't imagine you can. I'm just glad that I can have MythVision. This channel wouldn't exist if I was in some overwhelmingly religious country. In fact, there's a Muslim YouTuber that, what is his name? I can't remember. He's an Egyptian. And he actually got in trouble with the law for making the videos that he did in Egypt against Islam. He got on house arrest and he isn't even allowed to leave the country. And he's stuck in a situation. And he's done some really interesting YouTube videos dealing with Islam. But like he literally has been, I think, fined. He's got arrested. All of this stuff for being critical in Egypt, where it's, of course, an Islamic country. I mean, it's, you know, predominantly Muslims. And I'm glad I don't live there. And I hope that more people see the examples we set of being allowing that debate to exist and the freedom to express those things without trying to dominate with your particular religion. Your theocracy does not need to belong here. That goes for the Christian nationalists who want to take over us in America here. They think we are a Christian nation and we've gotten away from our roots of being what we are and the Constitution. There's all sorts of stuff going on with that. This is not meant to be a political show, but I see how this would tie into politics. But it's like very much about religious freedom and being able to express the things I do here on MythVision. I want to see what everybody in the chat has to say. Let's see. I'm going down. Paul's back. How could there be false hadith? When this is supposedly the one true final religion, why didn't Allah protect the sayings of the Prophet? Good question. I mean, you're asking a person who doesn't believe that Muhammad is the prophet or that this religion's true. I think it's a man-made religion, just like every religion is man-made. That doesn't mean there isn't interesting things to learn about it. Historically, understanding, I feel like we have a fossil in history about humans and our psychology and how we think and process the natural world around us and each other in religion. One day, if we last that long, if we're still around, we'll probably look back and go, wow, and be able to explain all of this stuff. If we can't already, we may already be able to do so. I'm just not at that level of intelligence to explain all of these religions naturally and show why they developed the way they did, how they may or may not have helped us to survive. All of these things. I think we could take an evolutionary model and see those things. But I imagine why there are different false hadith and different narrations, and maybe my Muslim friends would agree with me, is because different selfish, as they like to call them, selfish Muslims in power or in particular places want to write up narrations that help their view, that help support their angle. And this is what we see in the New Testament when there are forged letters in the name of certain people like Paul or others like Peter or whatever that are trying to have their theology match the group that's maybe forging these letters. Oh, our founder, Peter, actually, he's the guy who said, this. So we're good. Our faith is right. I think that that's a human tendency to do. Everybody wants to go and find the head honcho and make them on your side. And so why not fabricate it? Why not? Let me see something here. Yeah, I think Norse mythology might be correct. I can't project like that, but I imagine if you were in more of the in those regions of the world where things may be more radical, I would imagine that they're probably saying, no, he deserves what he gets. But then again, the society is completely different. They're not living by Western society. They're not concerned with that. It's like they want Sharia oftentimes. I'm not going to say, maybe I'm wrong about that. I could be wrong about that too. I'm not sure if all the Muslims want that, but it sounds like when I hear a lot of people have this, they have this kind of, where Christian post-millennialists will say, like, we need a theocracy. We need to have it set up where Christ is the center of everything. And they believe in like this golden age we're supposed to set up here on earth where Christ is, the chief figure in how we should run our societies is based off biblical precepts, and how we should live is our rule book, the Bible. We should do that. And they have this vision of like what that would be. And this would be a perfect society and everything would be great. But I think it's like an imagination set up in the mind of believers from the Christian perspective. And I imagine the same would be for Sharia law and like this perfect society and stuff in their mind. And I think that what that might be is probably different by each person. The eye of the beholder has a different perception on maybe what they expect that to be. Rob, I didn't see your super chat. I'm sorry, Rob. Thank you, Rob, for supporting. It's helping, especially in the tough times of my move. I'm trying to relocate. One of the most dangerous aspects of religion is the idea of responding to an authority higher than any on earth could ever be, especially when the texts are so easily interpreted as promoting violence. This is a problem throughout the entire Abrahamic traditions, and I imagine the problem goes beyond that because it's probably just a human problem. It really is. But the fact that you can flex the traditions, the fact that you can interpret these traditions in different ways gives me hope. I hope that as we progress as a human race and we get further away from archaic or, ancient ways of dealing with things, as science progresses, as we educate and learn more about ourselves and the history of where we've come from, that we may not reenact those things, and that we can find ways to interpret these texts, if you must stick within the tradition, that is a nonviolent way, and try to keep that, the push for peace, the angle. And I noticed lots of Muslims were doing that. So my hat and my respect is to those who are trying to be respectful and trying their best to understand a peaceful route. I don't think there's one picture paints the whole thing. I disagree with many people who might be saying to all Muslims or to all of Islam. I do think that their traditions allow for the interpretations to be various ways. There are modern Orthodox Jews that have very harmful ideology that they hold to, and they have a very bigoted view of the world. And then there are modern Orthodox Jews even that are against those others, and they aren't for that. I want to give an analogy as we bounce back and forth to be fair, but I definitely think there's a problem when it's inherent in the text and people who are in power are able to have that kind of power and push that on people. That's scary. That's why I don't think we need these texts in order to live our lives. I don't think we need these books in order to do so. I don't think we need these religions, I've even said, in order to live our lives and to be good people. But Rob, thank you for the super chat. I hope that we create more peace and dialogue and less violence that is occurring. And there should be these conversations happening. And I think it is starting to happen. These setbacks, I hope, are not real setbacks of what's occurring. I hope more people, like in the faith communities, in the religions, are condemning these actions from people within their own communities to a point where those violent or extremist type sects become suppressed and go extinct. They become a fossil, and more progressive thinking rules the day, and more peaceful and positive thought rules the day. I hope that my friends agree with me on that. And I hope no matter what you are, atheist, agnostic, theist, don't care what tradition you come from, I hope we can all try to agree on this. This is something that I hope we can do. You could think I'm dead wrong. You could think I'm a fool. You could think, Derek, I can't believe, how did we get here? God must be the thing that created us. I don't care. Let's try and see, how is this applicable in the real world? And let's have the conversations. And I'll tell you why I don't believe and why I don't think this. You can tell me why you believe and why you do think this. But this is something I want. I did an interview yesterday. I launched it, and it's taken off pretty well. Is Islam Judaism? And it goes deep with Dr. Firestone. And, we have this stereotypical view of Muslims in the West. And one of them is the propaganda that we pump out in our news. But also another thing is I think we're ignorant. We don't educate ourselves and broaden our scope and have the conversations across the aisle. We need to talk to people who are in these communities. When a guy that's 24 years old runs up and stabs Salman Rushdie, and you're looking for Muslims who side with this guy and are, yeah, I'm glad I did this. Like, you're also now putting probably a majority of Muslims in that stereotypical category. And there's this fear. Now it runs across the news and everyone's starting to look at Muslims. Oh, they're wearing a turban, or the local person who owns the gas station, which there are lots of Muslims who own gas stations where I'm at. And it's like, oh my God, now you're walking in there and you're thinking in your head, like, is he going to try and kill me? And what in the world is going on here? We got to change the way we talk about this stuff. I'm tired. I want to try and be balanced here. I think there's a middle ground, and it's not just one way. Anyway, I feel like I'm preaching. Inquisitive mind, if you play with fire, then prepare to be burnt. That's what a lot of people would say. I hear that in many communities, but obviously this is what I heard when I was reading the Facebook post. That's kind of the idea, is like, you can't talk about this. You can't be critical, and you can't be disrespectful even to people's religion. I don't know about you, but you remember when Christopher Hitchens was making jabs about circumcision and how he believes that it's mutilation. It's like child mutilation, because there are regions of the world, probably very minor, like a minority group of regions where women, their clitoris is clipped. They are circumcised. And what are the reasons behind this? Probably to remove pleasure, which is an odd thing to begin with, but maybe circumcision plays a role in that through the history of circumcision and stuff. He was critical, even calling out one of the rabbis on the stage. Does he have a right to do that? Can he say that he thinks that the God of the Bible is a tyrannical monster and that all of these prophets were probably just stuck within a tradition and they were having visions of grandeur, or they were completely wrong and they were just people and products of their time, outdated, and we've grown past that? Can he do that? Should he be allowed to do that? Of course he should. In America, of course. And I hope more people will allow those conversations, because I think the Jew also got to speak his piece and everyone gets to say where they're coming from. Joe said Hitchens was a friend of Salman. I didn't know that. In fact, I didn't even really know who this guy was till this attack happened. Then I bought the book on Audible, started listening to it. Paul's back. You mentioning the legend. Yes, the legend Sharif Gaber. That's who I'm talking about. Sharif had interesting videos I was watching. I messaged him on Instagram and he messaged me back and he said, right now I can't do anything. I'm stuck. In fact, I should probably read that. I've tried to make contact with him again since then, and I have not had success doing so. I'm going to look this up real quick because I would love to read this. I would love to have him be able to speak freely about what he believes as an ex-Muslim. And this is why I talk to ex-Muslims, because I relate as a Christian. I may not have the same experience, not even close, but I relate to what he's saying. All right, so I said, hey, brother, I've been speaking with many ex-Muslims and I found you. Would it be possible to interview on my channel? I have 30,000 subs. This is 20,000 subs ago. And I've seen some of your content. Hi, Derek. Sorry, I don't do interviews, especially while I'm still in Egypt. He can't even be in Egypt and do interviews. We got a problem here, in my opinion. We have a serious problem of being able to speak freely about what we believe. You can't be critical. And it's built into a lot of the religion as to why some of the Muslims are reacting the way that they are. But yes, Sharif Gaber, he's awesome. And I love how he has the subtitles, because I'd be screwed. I wouldn't know what he's saying. He has subtitles. His editing skills are amazing, and I've enjoyed it. Rum Runner, don't you love the cognitive dissonance of Allah as Almighty? And yes, he needs mere mortals to defend him. This is a good point. Like, why do we get offended? I don't think that the conclusion you're drawing is why they're doing it. I think they're offended and they feel like it's their identity. I felt attacked when people would mock Jesus or mock Christianity when I was a Christian. Of course, I never attacked them. I tried to outwit them. So it encouraged me to be more sophisticated. I wanted to read and understand better so that I could defend my faith. But I never had the intention of like, I need to attack or hurt this person. Sometimes you wish, oh, don't worry, they'll find out at Judgment Day, which is what I hear from both Christians and Muslims today, mostly. But to actually make the action of attacking a human being because of that, those are lines that you have absolutely crossed. And to me, it shows an insecurity on the part of those who have to go out of their way to do that. At least to me, it does. I can't read their mind and know that that's what's going on, but it shows insecurity that that's the way you have to shut people up. You got to go and you got to hurt them, stab them. This happened to a Christian apologist who got stabbed, or at least cut. She got scraped with a knife. She actually is the one who now runs David Wood's channel. And she was in one of the speaker's corner and got attacked by like a hooded guy who's like hiding his identity. Anyway, I don't know if she's provoking it. And I imagine she's coming at Islam, being critical, but that's exactly what they do in those debate areas. And I can't remember what the name of the place is in Europe. They do this, but like, it's crazy. You have to fight because you're so offended at someone who's coming at your religion. Kind of crazy, in my opinion. But yeah, I get the gist. I get what you're trying to say. And thank you for the super chat. Scrolling down here. Someone says, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the chat. And thank you for the likes, the comments. Even if you disagree with me at the end of the day, I think having these conversations are useful, and showing empathy and trying to have these interfaith dialogues and why we think the way we do should be allowed. Rob the Atheist is back again. There's no separating religion and politics in U.S. now. We've got to be vocal. Silence and indifference only benefits oppressors. Well, I do notice this is a big issue. And of course, my channel, I try to remain apolitical. People watch me from all spectrums of the political arena. But I also do sometimes vocalize my stance on trying to be for women's rights, trying to be for people who don't think the same way we do. I was raised a certain way in the South. I was raised a certain way, and the world is not about me. And when you educate yourself more and more, you realize, wow, there's so many other people with different views. How do we all sing Kumbaya in a sense and understand, like, we got to find a way where people aren't able to rule. We need secularism as our foundation. If not, then imagine being a Muslim who comes into America and then Christian nationalism rules, and the Muslims become this like very suppressed group, which already is the case in some respects, but they have to go and live in this particular area and they're segregated because, well, Christian nationalists rule. And atheists, shut your damn mouth. You have nothing to say. Like, I don't want to live in that. But if we have something that treats everyone equally, and that's our goal, and everyone has the rights to do that, I'm with you on this 100%, Rob. Salman Rushdie is immortal. I am glad he didn't get killed. I can't wait to see what he has to say after this. I didn't know who the hell he was. And now I'm interested in hearing what he has to say, especially after some of the quotes I've seen from him and the things he's talking about from freedom of religion and freedom of speech and why it's important that we're able to do these things, discussing any and all religions. That's why you have Satanists like Aaron Ra, which he doesn't believe there's a literal Satan. It's kind of a protest in the title of being a Satanist alone. But that he's going into political areas and they're speaking against Christianity, speaking against religion, and all for freedom of religion and thought and whatnot. And they're Christians who are protesting. They're so angry, triggered in these areas, trying to argue with Aaron. I love watching those. It's really interesting. Paul says, if they want Sharia, we shouldn't give a dime to Pakistan and Egypt. Well, I don't know if they particularly, those countries want it, but I imagine it's this utopia idea, like what heaven would be like. Or we imagine this great, great place where we can go and whatnot. My mom's calling me. Let me text her. Sahadith says, narrative Abdullah ibn Masud, indeed Islam began as something strange and it will return to being strange just as it began. Interesting. Thank you for that comment. Good to see you, Mr. Morpheus. Inquisitive Mind says, great conversation. So the ghost of MythVision emailed me actually on this, and I'm not going to read it, but if you go and you get the book, because it's that controversial, you go and read what Salman Rushdie said in his book, and you'll see why he has such hate coming after him. And he's just speaking his mind. And the weird thing is it's somewhat fictional, though. Like, I don't know why this guy's got so much heat, because it's like his book is very fictional. I don't get it. Rum Runner's back again. Rum says, blasphemy laws are often cultural, not scriptural. Thailand has anti-blasphemy laws for criticizing Buddha, but Buddhist texts don't mention blasphemy. That's interesting. I don't know if that applies to Islam and the Quran. I'm not certain. I'm not certain if that's something that is scriptural in Islam for sure. But I know there's debates back and forth on whether or not that is or isn't. And even Muslims can't agree all the time on what is and what isn't the case. But that shows my ignorance. Holy Humanist, Nuria, good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Go subscribe to Holy Humanist. She is an ex-Muslim. She speaks against the religion that she was once part of, and she has a personal experience of the harms that were done to her in this, I guess you could kind of call it misogynistic patriarchal system. If that's a way I can put it. Hi, Derek. Thanks a lot for talking about this. Happy to jump on the stream with you for a bit if you like. Look, actually, I might actually open up the room here in just a moment and allow, one person at a time to come on and chat with me. Yeah, thank you for the super chat. And I'm glad that people like you exist. You're also very respectful and kind in your tone and your approach. And that's one thing that I admire about what you do, Nuria. And I hope you keep doing it. Don't give up. The one thing I'd like to say is I may not have correct information in many respects to things I might study, or even when it comes to Islam, because I am ignorant when it comes to understanding all of these things. I'm learning. It's part of the process. But it's like, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep trying to learn more and understand where these things come from. Where do the ideas come from in all areas? And of course, Nuria has been mainly focusing on Islam, and she also is co-hosting on other shows as well. So anyway, Nuria, let me get these few super chats. While we do that, I'll go ahead and post the link in the chat and pin it. And I thank you for being here again. Pin the message. So there you have it. Opening up the room for people to be able to join it. Doc Pluralmanat, thank you for joining us today and giving the super chat. Like with all the prophets, Christs, if you put your hope in a mythical character, you'll need to ignore the history of his real life and invent a new savior that you find acceptable. This might be why the narrations of Muhammad are different and there are contradictory stories. I was listening to an interview recently by Dr. Gabriel Said Reynolds, and I absolutely recommend to go subscribe, of course, because there's just great interviews. And Sean Anthony was talking about it, how not only Sean Anthony says this, and so has Robert G. Hoyland, so did Patricia Crone and other academics that we talked to, that like the narrations, the biographies of Muhammad, like they're contradictory, inflicting accounts, like you don't know what you're getting and things like that. And so what can you trust? What is accurate for historical reasons? And how do we know? What methodology are you using? They point out that the worst methodology is arguments from embarrassment, because how do we know they were really absolutely sure they were embarrassed by this or not? There's a lot of things to consider. But Doc, thank you. I think we all paint a picture of some hero in our minds, right? Mine is my father, and it's those that I know and see that exist. But even as an atheist, someone who doesn't believe, I love kind of putting fictional gods in my mind, and why we humans always project and imagine these things. It's part of our imagination. I really enjoy those kind of stuff too. So I don't know if you feel the same way, Doc, but I have fun with fiction. Thank you so much for that super chat. I'm scrolling down here. So Darlene says, you're right. Like Seth Andrews, have an attitude to unite with people who defend the humanist cause, whether they are people of faith or not. Thank you. Darlene, you're right. I think we need that. I don't think coming on my platform to try and incite hate towards a religion or people, first of all, I don't think it's morally justifiable or right, even if the actions of that 24-year-old man were completely horrible and wrong. But we do have questions, right? We have questions we want to know, like what motivated this person to do this? And are they part of an extremist cult branch of a religion? And you can see why people like me are trying to explain why we don't have to have these religions in order to find peace, to find happiness, to find meaning in life. And yet there are people who go, no, I feel like I do need that. And I need Christianity, or I need Judaism, or I need this, I need Islam. And it's like, okay, in my society, you have all that right. And I respect it. Even if I don't agree with you at the end of the day, we can get along. All right, some people are in the chat. I'm going to bring Holy Humanist on next. And I just want to get through these couple super chats, Nuria, so bear with me. Definitely important to clarify, I don't like religious ideology from I don't like every person in that religion. The second is counterproductive, 100%. 100%. I'm with you. And I have much respect for those who are within the traditions who are criticizing these extreme acts that we're finding today that I think everybody finds, for the most part, abhorrent. I can't help the reverb, Paul. I'm in this big... I could do like this. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am, right? I could do all that, but it's a lot of extra work holding my mic in my hand. So bear with me. Maybe I'm trying to preach a message to everybody here on MythVision. Mr. Morpheus, Quran 9:29, translation says, fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last days. But the Arabic word there is qatal. It means to kill, massacre, not fight. That's where the mindset comes. There are definite translations and interpretations and things like that where you can walk away and say, yep, but you could do the same thing with the Bible. Like you could do the same thing with the Bible. That was what, if you didn't watch my interview yesterday, Morpheus, I know that you would enjoy it. Dr. Reuven Firestone talks about this, and even the rise of monotheism in Judaism, and they're fighting against the nations and stuff. They had a war mentality in Judaism, or that's anachronistic because Judaism is a later thing, but the Jewish religion, this religion of Yahwism, this was very violent, and their texts are very violent. So, but it's not all violent. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on that I think as we learn and understand more and see why people aren't interpreting it that way, I think that's important. A couple more here. Stop scamming, man. I'm glad you're in the chat. Good to see you. Ibn Ashaq wrote of the Satanic Verses. A later scholar, Ibn Hashim, edited out some controversial bits like this. Al-Tabari, however, showed the passage in Alfred Gulami's translation of Ibn Ashaq's work includes it. This is why I was recommending go check out Sean Anthony's article, because you'll find like it was taken seriously. Where are we at here? It was taken seriously by early Muslims. And so this topic, whether you agree with them, whether you think there's like a theological reason or a mythological reason for bringing these verses up, whatever the reason may be, doesn't matter. It is something that is found within the religion and in the tradition. I just think it's the work of Muslims that come in and actually could say, no, I don't think that this is what happened and here's why and things like that. That's cool. We can do that all day long, but it was taken seriously by early Muslims. Go read it. Go read it. Stop Skimming Man says, maybe Philip Pullman wouldn't have been stabbed if he hadn't been so rude about Christianity. Wait, I think I may have fudged some of the details. Thank you, Stop Scamming Man, for that super chat. Did I skip anybody here? I did not. All right. Nuria, welcome to MythVision. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, Derek. How are you?
I'm good. I wonder what you thought of the thumbnail and the title.
Well, I actually didn't see the thumbnail. I just caught this live and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool that you're talking about this as well, because
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of shaken up the whole community, but yeah, the fact that you're shedding light on it. And also, I have to say, I watched your interview from yesterday of Is Islam Judaism? And honestly, it was so good because like yourself, since I've left Islam, I'm just trying to kind of go down all these routes of trying to find how this thing came together and became what it was. And so all of these things are so insightful, and it just made so much sense. As you were saying throughout the interview as well, I was like, yeah, makes so much sense. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you watching that episode. I think that was one of my favorites, and I've done quite a bit of them so far with academics. Just to give a little shameless plug, if I may, these are some of the thumbnails to the other ones that I've done. One with Stephen Shoemaker, Robert Hoyland, Sean Anthony, and then, of course, another one, Robert Hoyland in the bottom right. I've done some with Haitham Sidki on codices, Marayan Van Putin, and, of course, multiple with him. So I highly recommend everybody go and check that out. Of course, also Shadi Nasser, and he just did an amazing interview. I want like the real serious main academics, and this is my goal because I think they're going to know more, honestly, than what typical lay people like me would know. And that's why I go to the experts. But I love what you're doing, and you're having these conversations, but you're also very kind in your approach. You know, that's one of the things that I value about what you do. And
Yes, and
I'm friends
likewise,
with
like back
everybody.
at you. Yeah.
I am. And some people come out a little more blunt.
Yes.
And they're friends of mine as well. Like Apostate Prophet, man, he gets so much hate. He also comes out very blunt. He's like more
Yeah.
blunt than I would be personally.
But Derek, you know what? I don't know if it's different in just dealing with Muslims per se, but even with how like calm, cool, and collected I try and be for the most part, I still get hate. So you can't win either way. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, but
But
most
yeah,
like you're also showing a side. Like you're trying to remain human. Do you remember The Walking Dead?
yes.
Did you ever get into that show?
Yeah, but yeah, not crazily into it, but yeah.
I'm using this as an analogy because the world in The Walking Dead is filled with hate. I mean, it's bad. You have to kill some of the zombies, just saying the zombies were their loved ones or things like that. And the people, the way that the episode's playing out, it's like they're losing their humanity because of chaos and bad things that are in the world. And like, so, they're trying to show you some of the characters, they lose it for a while. They become
Yeah.
insane, almost like angry and hateful. They have to come back to being a human again. They have to come back and realize, like, hold on, like, let me try to be this empathizing human who understands from different angles. I feel like that's what happens when we're being critical, and when we get the hate that we do, sometimes we become a little less sympathetic or approach these topics with sensitivity. And I prefer to take that approach. I'm not knocking other people, but like I've even told, me and AP have talked, and I'm like, dude, I'm not about to eat a Quran. I'm not about to burn it. I have no interest in inciting hate from people who I think would take offense unnecessarily. However, AP's like, I feel like I have this right. My freedom to express. I hate this religion. I don't hate the people, but I do hate this religion, he said. And that's why he says, like, don't go to Islam. Don't become a Muslim. Try not to join Islam. And that's his freedom. That's his expression. And many Muslims hate him for that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we see within this movement. Obviously, like every kind of personality is doing their own thing. So I'm kind of more where you are. I would never catch myself eating the Quran, burning it, just because for me, I know my target audience in the sense that people I'm trying to reach out to. I just think it would be a lot more beneficial and productive for me to go a different route, which is, as you said, to be a lot more empathetic in my approach and say, I've come from this. I'm trying to just tell you what I've experienced and learned. And hey, I'm not here to force my opinions on you. Take this information. I'm showing you the sources and I'm telling you my view on it, and do what you will with it. But yeah, every kind of personality obviously has their own fan base, as we can see. Like AP's got massive following. Some people like that aggressive kind of, I call them the foot soldiers of the ex-Muslim movement. They go in hard. Basically, they take on like the Dawa crowd, and they call themselves glorified trolls. Some of them. I'm kind of trying to steer away from that, and I want to focus more on like, right, let's unravel bits of Islam, obviously, but because the socio-political side of things is just so nasty from an Islamic perspective. Most weeks, like especially when I do Sunday Scoop with Hara Sultan, it's just the most negative news stories like over and over again. So it's hard to kind of just, always kind of just keep that nice approach, as nice as possible of an approach when dealing with Islam, and usually return to humor. But otherwise, yeah, I'm like you. I'm just trying to kind of speak to people who have thoroughly researched Islam, or especially women who have just faced it head on. So yeah, but no, even with this whole Salman Rushdie thing, I just wanted to say I'm really glad that you're shedding light on it, because this is just like 33 years later after a fatwa was put on him, and the perpetrator in this instance like literally wasn't even born when that book was published. And it's now come out in mainstream news as well that he literally admitted that he had read a mere 2 pages of the book. That's it. He had no idea. It's just such a conditioning when something like a fatwa is like looming over your head for all those years. I mean, Salman Rushdie literally just a couple of years ago moved to New York and said, "Oh, I've finally got my life back, in the sense that I can walk down the street and meet a friend for lunch without fearing for my life." And just shortly after,
imagine if he said sorry. let's play a hypothetical here, right?
Yeah.
What if he said, I feel like I was a little bit blunt. It was a fiction. I just want you to know, like, I wrote a fiction. I said some things, but look, I never meant to personally try to attack or hurt you as a person who's in faith. That fatwa was on him no matter what. He made the words. He can't take back the damage. The only thing I could imagine reversing it is if he converted. Like that's
well,
how.
no, I think Derek at one point he did he did apologize or like convert again, and then he just couldn't go
Did he?
through. Like, yeah. I need to look into that, but
Oh
someone did
my
tell me
gosh.
at one point he did like he did concede a little bit, but then he just couldn't live with it or something like to that effect. But I mean, yeah. So this was a huge wake up call. I mean, just to just ex-Muslim activists like myself who usually do show their face because you kind of do get complacent, like life takes over and you start getting comfortable in your bubble and you just think, oh, the country where I am is free and liberal and secular enough to protect me. And then you see somebody like Salman Rushdie who has been on guard for his entire life, and he goes to one event where he just lets his guard down because the nature of the event is meant to be almost like a retreat, right? Like a cultural, educational retreat. And just the one time you let your guard down, something like this can happen. But I mean, it speaks volumes, the fact that like so many Muslims sitting comfortably in the West are just unable to call it out of fear of reprisal, repercussion, or being called out by their own community. Because technically he is a blasphemer, right? Technically what he's saying is against Islam. So yeah, just the absolute silence from that side has been, I mean, it's not staggering, but it's just like it just seems to be such a cop out. But yeah.
I was, before I did this live, I did a little research, and the retreat you're talking about was about, I said this in the intro of the video, it was about how America is a safe place to come and get away from the tyrannic type of religions and be able to speak freely about where you believe, what you believe, etc. This was the entire point of this retreat, is exactly what he was attacked. He was attacked.
Yeah.
And he was coming to speak about how America is a good, safe place to come and talk about these things. And obviously it's not safe enough, that like, how do you stop everybody? Is everyone supposed to have a guard? That's why I carry, my Second Amendment right. I keep in case I need to protect myself or others. This is well before MythVision. So it's not like I became this guy who's speaking against religion and then was like, I need to have something to protect myself. But like, it's a real issue. And I feel like it's an ideological war. How do we get people to realize that these are just ideas? These are humans that are creating these ideas that you have bought. This is why I do what I do, to convince people. I do want people to see what I'm saying. You can say, you know what? I respect it. I disagree. At the end of the day, I still think that he was the prophet, whatever. But like, at least understand each other, and maybe you'll have more respect. I think there'd be better conversations that way. But when you're taking this as the gospel, so to speak, and you're like taking every word to the bank and you're like a fundamentalist about it, that's probably why a 24-year-old, like the guy who just did what he did what he did.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, and I will prod at those like supposed moderate Muslims because, I mean, the same book that you call so divine and so holy is the same book that can entice somebody to go out and fight jihad or, carry out the killings that is prescribed for apostates or blasphemers. So you've got to ask yourself that if that same book can inspire those two same things, the love and the beauty and the peace of Islam that you feel inside, but also those insanely jihadi fundamental tendencies, then you've got to ask yourself, like, how is it possible that the same scripture is inspiring these two almost completely parallel things? You can't just sit back when something like this happens and says, oh no, not my Islam. Because no, at some level, that is your Islam. That is actual Islam. And then you've got like the larger problem where, the silence of Islamic countries, but then even beyond that, countries like Iran, for example, have like as an actual state have called this divine retribution, Derek. And second of all, because there was so much talk about Rushdie losing his eye, they actually said that today one of the eyes of Satan has been defeated, or something to that effect.
Wow. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty
So-
ridiculous. Depending on what tradition, at this point, he's practically become Odin, the one-eyed god, So like,
Exactly.
what perception are we looking at this thing from,
And they've turned him into the Antichrist as well.
Yeah, it's sad that an entire country thinks like that. But then again, I like to educate and be fair, right? And point out this is exactly how Christian theocracies throughout history with kingdoms and such, they did the same superstitious things. They thought the same way. The only difference is most of these Christian countries, if you will, that had theocracies aren't here today. It's a bit backwards that we still have this kind of theocratic approach in many countries. And it's not just Islam, but definitely being this is the hot topic right here that I'd like to see change. I mean, Christians are in America, they're living in a secular society, and even they feel like they're persecuted, some of them. But that's built into their theology as well. There's not reality to that. This is something that's built into their ideology. Oh my God, there's an LGBTQ person walking by. The fact that they exist, some Christians feel like this nation is a nation under God, and like we're a Christian nation and they shouldn't be able to exist. That's sin. And like it's
and that's
built
a
into
perpetual
it.
issue, right, Derek? That's
Right.
literally a perpetual issue because Islam has the same issues and it's ongoing. You can't, and that's why you can't ever see them like, I mean, you talk about reform, but I just don't think that's possible for Islam because of the very claims it makes for itself, right? But that's why it's so stagnant when you've got a religion which is so totalitarian, or even I don't know how totalitarian Christianity is compared to Islam. I mean, just from looking at it in terms of like, from what I've seen, I think it's a bit less, but I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just like when you've got something as stagnant as that, and when you've got these traditions and culture and morals like tied in and enshrined into a particular century, it's so hard for you, especially when you're so happy being like victim blaming. And I mean, when I say Islam is in this perpetual state, it really is, because there are two states in Islam, which is called like the state of war and the state of so basically until there's not an Islamic caliphate resurrected. So if you're in any Western state, you are in a perpetual state of war until you overpower. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Isn't
So
this, but like, isn't this only particular Muslims that are interpreting it this way?
So this is like, so I guess you could say this is like actual Wahhabi Islam or Salafi Islam. But yeah, there's states of Islam where you have like the Dar al-Harb. I just need to get the proper Arabic because I don't want to missay it. But there's two states of war. But it's basically always a state of either being in power as the dominating party or laying low and just pretending you're assimilating and being part of society until you have the chance to attack and overpower, essentially.
It's really sad. I've heard this before. That's really sad. If that's not a way to live life. The fact that you're so consumed with this kind of ideology and that's what you would think, just not free yourself. By the time you think that happens, I hope that they wake up and realize, oh, wow, this is a powerful thing I believed this whole time, and all these people followed suit. That's a really interesting way of you putting it. I have a couple people to bring on, Nuria, and I do want you to plug your channel, though, so everybody knows where they can come and learn from you more.
Okay. Well, so I'm talking to you on my phone, but I'm happy for you to plug it if you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody, my channel is just literally my name there, Holy Humanist. So I am an ex-Muslim. I came from a Sunni Muslim background. So yeah, I've got a couple of videos where I interview people who have left Islam, but also like I've interviewed Derek himself, and I've interviewed a couple of other ex-Christians and ex-Baha'i. But I try and focus more on like women's rights and Islam. So yeah, those two things overlap quite a lot, as you can see. So there's never a shortage of materials. But yeah, especially if you know any like questioning Muslim women or any women, any Muslim believing woman that has any kind of questions, or ex-Muslim women, because we're not represented enough on YouTube, please, please, please definitely tell them they're more than welcome to come check out my channel. Message me, we'll have a call in, we'll have an interview, we'll have a chat. As Derek said earlier, it's all friendly. Like there's no there's no going at each other's throats here. It's all just calm, chilled out conversation, just learning from each other.
I'm posting that in the chat. Please take the time to subscribe. And Nuria, thank you so much. I'm just going to take a few more callers here for a moment, and then have a conversation with the audience as a discussing this and leaving out. I do hope people subscribe to your channel. Let me know, if you have any success here, because I always love to see our audiences come across and learn about each other. If you haven't heard of Nuria, please check her out. Like, it's all I can ask for. In fact, actually, you know what? Don't go anywhere, Nuria. I'm going to do something here. I'm bringing
Okay.
Friendly Muslim on with us.
Oh yes, friendly Muslim.
Friendly Muslim. Let's stick with this, and then after this, I'll come by myself here and just and finish up. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
Anyway.
How are we, friendly Muslim? Good to see you here.
Very well, Holy Humanist. Good to see you again. This seems to be part 2 from Sunday.
Indeed, it does.
Yeah, so we had a conversation on Sunday, actually, on Sunday Scoop, and obviously me and Nuri have known each other for a good couple of months now, and me and also Harris, and we do discuss these events. So my first point of call with this was to echo the Muslim councils that had condemned the attacks. So that was in the UK, in Europe, and also in the USA also. So they had publicly put out that they have condemned the attacks, which I thought was the position to take, essentially. So that was
so
the
you're
first part of it.
100% with us in this particular case. You're absolutely on our side when it comes to the act this is totally wrong. I mean, would you side with us on this?
Well, yeah, any unlawful act, any act of violence is the first port of call for me, being a Muslim, to condemn an act. Now, there is higher conversations that are going on both sides. And again, this was something I touched on with Noria. Some people in the Muslim, like maybe the intellectuals, the thought leaders, have argued that we don't need to take a position on it straight away. We need to assess the facts, maybe see what evidence it is. If it was the Iranian government, it's not somewhere that we asked them or nominated them to do it. Again, like you did a poll, and 70% were against it. So
and I'm glad. I'm glad
Yeah,
to see that.
exactly. Same.
So that would be the majority view. A lot of people had forgotten him, had no idea about him, and so okay, it's old news essentially. It's 30 years old, but obviously there are 2 other parts of this, which I've heard from. I spoke to Ehrman from Atheist Republic, and he mentioned that the leader was also mocked in the book at the time, partly to do why the fatwa was actually issued and why he had a certain problem with it. So there is that view also. So I've heard conflicting views. Some people have said he's gone on his own, and some people have said that he was in touch with Iranian intelligence. So I'm still to clarify. I don't know if Nuri has heard anything solid as a recent update.
No, I actually haven't heard anything on that. But did you know that Salman Rushdie was not the first? There was a Japanese man who translated the Satanic Verses. Do you know about the fact that his life was
No, I
taken
did.
as well?
I spoke to Secular Spirit, and then I looked up the story, and a translator got done, and there were a whole
Yeah.
host of people that
That's
were
so
also killed.
honestly, Friendly Muslim, coming from me, it honestly is so silly to me. Like, to me, it's so backwards. I could imagine that happening in the 1500s under like a theocracy of Christianity or something. Like, it's really, really backwards. And I wish that more people would like speak out. We have internet now, so I think people are starting to get there quicker. It's not just word of mouth, and a lot of these countries are being penetrated through internet and getting a lot of this information. I hope it's starting to make a change where we're all getting to a place together where you can translate things like this. My translation's wrong. Okay, debate me about it. You know, let's do it formally or whatever. Killing and attacking and stuff like that over words or translating ancient text and things like that, that's silly to me. You know what I mean? You could see why I would say that, right?
Derek,
Yeah,
I
no, of
just to
course. I
follow
mean,
up on that. Sorry, Friendly Muslim. You might have even have
Mhm.
heard of this. Do you remember there was a BBC documentary? I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's called The Satanic Verses 30 Years On with Mobeen Azhar. He like was the host of it.
Oh,
Did
was
you
that
watch
guy
that?
that went to Bradford or somewhere and he was
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah,
about the
exactly.
book? Yeah.
Yeah, so just to let Derek know as well. So basically, there was a BBC documentary done on the Satanic Verses 30 years afterwards. So Mobeen Azhar is like this British Pakistani. He went to, I think it was Bradford. I think Friendly Muslims, yeah, I got it right. I think it was Bradford, somewhere like that. Anyway, and he was walking around with the book, and there were like obviously Muslims walking past. And he showed it to one of the Muslims, and he was like, "Yeah, like, how do you feel about this book?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine, it's all right." And Mobeen Azhar asked him, "Have you read it?" And he was like, "No." And then afterwards, he like as if he walked away as if everything was all good. And then he literally ran around, grabbed the book from him, and like literally ran off and like was trying to defame the book as he was running. But basically, it was in that instance, like he went from in that moment being like, "Yeah, yeah, it's all good. Like that's fine. I'm fine with that book." He hasn't read it. All he knows is that book is pure evil. I've got to burn it. I've got to desecrate it. That's my just inbuilt duty. Having no idea what the contents are, the background, nothing, just something he's been told, and he's acting on it.
So with that, I did see it recently actually, and so the actual guy was actually from seeing. I mean, I just saw it on Sunday. He was part of the protests because they held a big protest where they actually burnt it, and there
I'm
were
pretty sure he was.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was. So that when he was calm, he approached him, and then he was like, "Oh yeah." And then as he read out verses, it got him more angry, and yeah, he took the book and
He didn't even have to
I think
read,
he
mate. He
set it on
literally
fire.
just did a runner
Yeah.
around and went for him. You see that he didn't even take any. He read nothing.
And he took it, yeah. So people would react. I mean, I didn't actually realize what the extent of what was written in it until this happened now. And then, I mean, look, when certain figures are being portrayed in a certain way, yeah, it's got an emotional ping, but then you're also like, all right, well, he was doing it for a reason to do a
But Friendly
reaction.
Muslim, he's done it
Mhm.
also under the guise of fiction. This is all purely
Yeah,
fiction.
no,
So it
yeah,
shouldn't have
fiction.
any issues at all. If it's got any mere resemblance to anything Islamic, whoops, well, this is fiction. You've got to look into your own Islamic history. And that's the problem. This incident, once again, what the Salman Rushdie affair did 33 years ago, this has just resurrected. It's kind of backfired in the sense that the Satanic Verses is the most searched after thing on Google and on Amazon books right now. Everybody's actually looking into the Satanic Verses, and they're able to make that link now that this is a real incident that happened in Islamic history. And when you go into that incident, it gets very, very scary because the incident itself is so damning for the Prophet, his claims to prophecy and prophethood and infallibility and having this divine connection in terms of revelations from Allah. So this is very, very damning for Islam itself. If you start looking, so in Tabri, it's still there. Ibn Ishaq relates it as well. So you can't, if you, how many of these people are you going to throw under the bus?
There's so much here. This also brings up one of the things I wanted to ask Friendly Muslim. And yes, we have apostate prophet in the house.
He's in the house.
And
hey.
Hello, hi.
This took a weird turn. Didn't think my day would end in this situation.
This is something that something came to mind when I was thinking about this, and this actually, AP, you've done a cartoon recently, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about the cartoons, and when, like, I don't know how to paint the picture, but I'm trying to paint this the best way for people to understand. When people are attacking people because they're making a cartoon of your prophet or whatever it might be, like people who aren't in the faith at all would think it looks very insecure when the attacks are being brought out because someone is being critical or making a cartoon of that faith. For example, when Scientology was mocked by, and Tom Cruise was mocked by South Park, like they tried to sue him and they were so angry they wanted to take the cartoon down. Like they were scared of, like, this is going to affect our numbers and things like that. And it's like, dude, if you have the truth, then make cases to prove your stuff. And like, why are we so angry? Christians have been getting, Jesus gets slammed all the time. And I mean, I don't mock Jesus, but I definitely call what I think is not true or false or whatever. But there's people who do, and Christians get upset, but they're not like on a hunting spree. Why is that the case? What have you gotten death threats for your cartoon, AP?
Yeah, and that's nothing new. I get death threats all the time. I have so many of them. I ignore them nowadays, but it's always there, as you pointed it out. It's like it just gives people a very terrible picture of Islam and of Muslims, because that is the general reaction that people get when they are critical or satirical, when they make fun of the religion. I mean, that is how people that is how they react, how so many Muslims react. That is what the general population sees, because that is the overwhelming response, like anger and terrible words, terrible insults and threats. And that doesn't really give your Islamic religion a very good image. You are doing the opposite of actually protecting the image or the honor or whatever it is of your religion. You are harming it severely, more so than cartoon would ever harm it, or more so than Salman Rushdie's book would ever do it. And you talk about, you say Christians are mocked, but people don't go on killing sprees and all that. I mean, I just asked the question the other day, and some of the responses are really baffling, to be honest. I asked the question the other day: when was the last time that that somebody was brutally attacked or killed for offending Christianity? And most Christians were happy about this. When was the last time? I'm sorry, nobody can point out anything like that in our memory. Some people will come out and say, no, you're actually wrong, because in the 1500s that happened too. Well, amazing, right?
I point that out
in the 1500s.
Too, right. Dude, even Christians today condemn it, right? Most Christians would condemn it. I think there are very few Calvinists, when I was a Calvinist, who tried to defend Calvin's actions in a theocracy where anti-Trinitarian, what they called blasphemy, was not welcome. And it wasn't welcomed. It was against the law there, and they killed him. And there are certain Calvinists that remind me of kind of that kind of point of view that I'm hearing from the Muslim side of certain radical Muslims. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's like 500 years ago. And we should be getting past this, or we need to find a way to. How can we be critical? And your whole channel is like literally central focus is Islam. I was just pointing out earlier, you have a different method. You do things totally different. I'm not going to burn or eat or like come at Islam the way that you do. And you have a different reason, but you have that freedom to express it. And we're friends. I have friends who are Muslims who probably can't stand you. And they're my friends, so like, I live in a world that's kind of...
I know, man. Just, I don't know if I'm a friend or not, Derek, so.
Huh?
I don't know if I'm a friend or not. I don't know if you were talking about me.
Dude, I mean, you're kind of friendly. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of friendly here.
Can I have friends that hate AP, but they cannot refute him because the truth hurts.
I have a couple super chats. I don't want to leave anybody
I hear
hanging
you.
because they can't get through to heaven without their super chats, which is an indulgence to get to heaven. We're breaking down Martin Luther here. Stop Scamming Man says, mainly besides silence, the Dawasin's reaction has been clumsy attempt to get one over on critics. So homophobia is hate speech, but blasphemy is free speech. This has been rather pathetic. You want to comment on that? What has been the reaction from the Dawasin on YouTube?
Well, from the known Muslim apologists and preachers, nobody, not a single person that I know, nobody among the religious representatives of Islam have come out and condemned this. Some known people who happen to be Muslims have said something about this, but very, very mild things. Like, I don't know. I was checking if Mehdi Hassan, who talks about politics a lot, if he commented on it, he didn't do anything. All he did was to retweet a tweet by another Muslim, which said something like, which immediately took the opportunity to say, extremists do terrible things like Republicans, and now the issue with Salman Rushdie. Dude, I mean, can you not just sit down and condemn this thing? If something like this happened to somebody else, to a Muslim or to somebody else, people would be all over this. But because it is Salman Rushdie who supposedly offended Islam and the Muslims, the Muslim population doesn't want to condemn it. Those who do feel bad about this and those who do want to condemn it do not do it in public because they are afraid of the backlash from the majority of Muslims. I'm sorry to say this, and I'm sorry to friendly Muslim here too, but we just have to say it. The majority of Muslims feel good about this. They are happy about this. They approve of this. They don't think this is a bad thing. They do not condemn this.
This is the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
This is your
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
He did a poll and
by
said
showing
70%.
Prove me wrong by actually
because who
showing.
hasn't spoken about it? Where are
Prove me
your
wrong.
facts from, Ridwan? Where are your facts that you were
I
telling?
published
You were
them. I just published them on
assumptions.
Twitter. Prove me wrong. I did it.
You
proved
did a
it to
Twitter
people.
poll. You did a Twitter poll.
No.
How many Muslims do you have on your
That's
Twitter
not what
poll?
I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going through all the responses from Muslims and showing to people
How many
what
were there?
people are saying. The vast majority of
Dude, when you
make a poll, when you make a poll, you don't interview every single person there is in order to make your point. You go out
Derek
there
made a
and you
poll,
look
and
you look at the average.
70%.
Yeah, but friendly Muslim, even if you just do a normal poll,
70% of his poll said that they weren't. So when Ridwan comes and says, "Oh, the overwhelming amount do," then there's a conflict. Now I want facts. I want figures. Then.
okay, if you take a scroll, if you scroll down from any of the comments, it literally take a screenshot. Overwhelmingly, they are hero worshipping him.
Well, yes. I'm not going to. By the way, I'm not going to.
Everybody
That's a private group. I'm not going to name the group. I respect that boundary there, but I will say, this group, it was like 80 votes. It wasn't like a ton. Overwhelming. Most people didn't even answer probably below, but there were some pretty, I would say, pretty blunt admissions to what was done was right and good. The only bad things that came out of it was, and I mean, not all, but there were some comments down below that were pretty like, he's cancer and cancer needs to be cut out. That kind of stuff.
I'm sure they were.
I would love to organize an actual survey,
I would never
raise funds, and make a global survey to see what Muslims say about this. I'm sorry, but I mean, if you don't want to believe me and the responses that I gather very clearly for everyone to see and post there, if you don't believe that, just do it for yourself. Go on any platform, on any social media platform where nowadays the average Muslim population is represented. Look through the comments and see what Muslims think. You will maybe out of 100 comments find, 5 or 10 people, not even that, who say something like, we shouldn't be happy about this, or whatever it is. The majority are happy about this, or they excuse this. I'm sorry, if you want to prove me wrong, go ahead and look.
No, I think you need to prove your statement. I think you need to
I already have done
There's
it.
2 billion Muslims, then please prove your statement.
I already have done that.
This rhetoric is also dangerous to everybody.
You know,
So
what is dangerous? What
it's
is dangerous? What is dangerous is that there is a large Muslim population in the world which threatens you all the time if you dare to question their beliefs, and that somebody can come out there and attempt to kill you or beat you to death. And the majority response from Muslim figures out there is either silence or excuses or cheering. Show me a number of Muslim speakers, Muslim voices who have condemned this. Go ahead, do it. That is scary. I'm sorry. I will
I
not
quoted the
be
Muslim councils,
shy. I will not be shy
you
from
keep
speaking the
on
truth about
putting
this.
people like Ali Dawah. You don't need to be shy, Ridwan. You're very public on what your stance is on it, and that's your right to do so. But I'm also concerned about everybody in this situation. I'm concerned about my family, who then are looked as violent people just because they happen to be Muslim, because someone's spurting out false information. I'm concerned about
Again,
you.
I
I'm
don't
concerned
really
about
care about
Nuria.
that, honestly.
I'm concerned about my people that I know, and Derek also, where they're seen as people that are Islamophobic. Therefore, I have these conversations and explain to people that they have their concerns. This is why we have these discussions, and that's what I promote. So that's where I stand on it.
I'm going to grab these super chats before people go to hell. Hold on. Stop scamming, man. Thank you for that. Did we already get this one? Mainly besides silence the Dawa scene. Yes, we did. All right,
Yes,
the
we did.
next one. So he is in heaven. Mertez says true and clear Islam. It's in Sharia and Hakika. I hope I'm saying that right. Not in Quran. Scholars know that, but they brainwashing Muslims with the peaceful Islam, which is not. Did you guys want to comment on this?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
that's true. Obviously, the Sharia is literally the embodiment of like actual Islam, because the Quran is so vague on so many things that the Sharia has the actual punishments for it, and the Hadith is what the Hakika I think was referring to. The Hadith and the Sunnah of the Prophet is where you get literally the entirety of this totalitarian ideology that tells you how to step into the bathroom, what dua, I don't know what dua is in English, what like supplication to say before you have sex. Literally every single thing down to the letter is like dictated by Islam. And the thing about brainwashing Muslims with the peaceful Islam, which it's not exactly, but the Quran itself is not peaceful in its very nature. So even those Muslims who are like as reductionist as to put all the hadith to the side and say they are Quranists, that book in itself has enough violence and can be construed as a war manual in effect, that it's not peaceful. So if you look at Quran.com now and you look at Sunnah.com, which has all the hadiths of Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the amount of brackets that they've added to insert words, especially into the new translations in English, because now this is available to everybody. If you look at how many words they've had to insert in brackets in between just to make the hadith or whatever paragraph more palatable to the 21st century, it's insane. If you look at older translations, it's a much cruder, harsher translation, which is much more reminiscent of the actual classical Arabic translation. But yeah,
Can I also
I
say
hope that
something,
answers
Derek?
it.
Because I want to, and if you're wondering why people aren't speaking, and it may be a comment like friendly Muslim with friendly taqiyya, which means he's a liar basically, and so he's covering things up. So you had the Muslim Council condemn the action, and underneath you've got non-Muslims saying, "Oh, you're lying. You really mean war. You mean this. You mean that." So I spoke to some higher people in this, and I'm like, well, I'm talking about it. Why aren't people speaking about this? And they were like, well, look, we're condemning it, and then we're not condemning it enough, or then we're not doing enough. But what else can we do? One person slips under somewhere,
This is
and
complete
we've
bullshit.
got
I'm
no
not going to
control.
listen to such bullshit. Are you kidding me?
Can I
Are
speak
you
properly
are
without
are
you
you
swearing?
you
Can you
fucking
show some
kidding me? Are
composure?
you fucking kidding me?
Can you not speak normally?
We are worried
Can
about
you
the
not speak
response.
normally?
Therefore, we don't want to talk about this. Somebody is being attacked with
We
the
are having a
intention of
conversation.
killing the person,
I'd appreciate if you didn't swear,
the
Ridwan.
person for
I'd
their
appreciate if you didn't
opinions.
swear.
And your response to that is, well, we just don't want to condemn because the response and all that.
Ridwan, you don't
I
win
mean,
an argument by
Jesus
swearing.
Christ.
you know, and throwing
You
a
don't win
tantrum.
an argument by massacring populations and making excuses for that.
I'm talking about what general views are happening and what I've spoken about. So at the end of the day, there needs to be some sort of dialogue, you know, and you huffing and puffing doesn't help any sort of dialogue. I'm explaining to you what I've spoken to higher ups about this situation. Should we be speaking more? You know, and because obviously I can demonstrate away, and I'm like, well, you know, am I taking the right position? And so they are having conversations of why they feel they need to hold back, why their reasons are that they feel that when they do it, it's thrown back in their face, essentially. So again, we need to have these conversations without you swearing and huffing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Answer me two things. You just talked about the response from the Muslim
Talk to me
Council of
politely.
Britain.
Don't start swearing at me, Ridwan. All right? Okay, I'm a normal human being like you.
Let's-
You have no right
guys.
to start swearing and
Okay,
huffing and puffing.
Yeah, let's
whatever.
tone it
Okay,
down.
okay.
Let's get along
Okay,
here.
okay,
Let's get
okay.
along.
You kept repeating just one institute, one organization which apparently condemned the issue, the Muslim Council of Britain. Do you have any other
There were
major
there were
representatives?
There were multiple ones. You can see it on my Twitter. Have a look. I retweeted. That's it.
Did you explicitly go out and
UK,
condemn this?
Europe, and the USA. The Independent also wrote an article on it on behalf of Muslims, saying that I'm a Muslim and I condemn these actions. I don't like what his book stated for, but I do not agree with the violence that took place.
An anonymous article. Did you, for example, explicitly make a post in which you condemned this, and how many Muslims agreed with you?
Dude, listen. I don't answer to you
Can
about
you answer my question, please?
No, I spoke to Sunday Scoop. I spoke to Harry Sultan. I spoke to Ehrman at Atheist Republic. I spoke on certain Dawa channels and said this is the council position has taken place on. I spoke to the thought.
Did you explicitly condemn this issue? I just asked you a very simple question. Did you explicitly make a post condemning it?
I echoed the position. If I'm retweeting and echoing what the Muslim Council have said, then that was my position on it.
Okay, so apparently you have not made a condemnation. The Muslim Council said we condemn this act, vigilante, and so on, under which, of course, they also repeated the whole idea that Salman Rushdie is, of course, not innocent. The same thing was done by another person that you retweeted. And funnily enough, you talk about the comments section of the Muslim Council of Britain and tell us about the responses from non-Muslims who say, we don't believe you, you are lying. But you completely failed to mention, I could even screen share this right now, that in the comments section, there is no single Muslim who actually agrees with the Muslim Council of Britain. On the contrary, there are multiple Muslims in response to this who say, you do not represent us, how dare you, and so on. So I'm sorry, but you're trying to make it look like...
I'm not trying anything. I'm explaining what my... Dude, I'm explaining what happened. I'm not here for your debate. I talk to people. I've had many conversations. I'm not an apologist. I'm just having conversations.
Okay, but the issue is, as you noticed, the discussion is not about what you think. The discussion is about what most Muslims are doing. And if you genuinely want to argue that most Muslims are... If you genuinely want to argue that most Muslims are...
I said that there needs to be better dialogue, and I would like figures for what you're saying. Okay, you're the only one on here that's like swearing.
I'm gonna grab.
You accuse me of making this up and twisting this, and implied that the reality is actually the opposite.
You're coming at me. I have normal conversations with people all the time.
Next super chat, guys.
Go ahead.
Let's get the next super chat. Let's get the next one. Alan Bird.
You just objected to me because I said that most Muslims are happy about this.
Guys, allow me to push the conversation. Allow me to push the conversation forward. 1950s and 60s, many Muslim countries, Egypt, Turkey, Pakistan, were moving towards secularism. It is not the nature of Islam to move towards Salafism.
Salafism. Yeah, no, that's true. There was a lot of move toward secularization in the 20th century in Muslim countries, which were influenced by the downfall of Islam, or Islam as a political force, by Western powers and by people who internally wanted to revolutionize the countries, because they argued that they have to move forward like the West in order to be greater, because obviously they failed in their fight against the West. But over time, populations within these countries didn't really buy this, and there were a lot of revivalist Muslim groups which argued that this secularization doesn't serve anyone, it doesn't serve Allah, we must go back to Islam, and so on. And these were very often suppressed, sometimes they're often by force. But in today's time, many of these religious groups have come back to the surface and have begun to take control and have more influence, which is why they move more toward Islam. And religious Muslims obviously don't want secularism; they want Islamism, which is not good for any human being.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you look at pictures of like Iran and Pakistan, even Afghanistan, like back in the day, they were so much like women would go to universities, they'd be wearing short skirts. Like it was a lot more secular than we see it today in countries, especially like Pakistan, where like Zulfikar, like he brought the Hudud punishments back into the law, which are like strict Sharia punishments. And obviously this helps to like Islamicize a nation. So when you're moving towards secularization, and then you've got these like insane Sharia prescribed punishments, i.e. that's why like the remnants of the blasphemy law are so stringent in Pakistan today. It's just like hard to move into the 21st century when you're back, especially when your country founded on religion and you've got the name Islamic Republic tied into your name. So that like divide between adding Sharia into your actual constitution is always there. And there's always that push and pull struggle. But if you look at pictures of women in the 50s and 60s, they were a lot freer than they are today. But yeah, I disagree with the last part about Salafi Islam, because I think if any one leader is inclined to be more like go back to real Islam as per the literal view, that is like the Salafist view. And if that gets into law, then the country is going down a dark path. But yeah, sorry, Bart,
I agree.
chat.
Look, sincere question. Is saying something as harmless as I think the chapter Al-Kaf is based on Byzantine legends of Alexander the Great, Dul-Qarnayn, and the seven sleepers of Ephesus worth getting attacked? Hateful?
You can't say that in a Muslim country.
So if you were to tell them these are legends,
You'd be in trouble.
what do you think, friendly Muslim? Do you think that people can? I mean, obviously we do it here in the West, but when I say that I think that the Quran has mythology in it, legends that aren't true, that are based on earlier legends that aren't true, you know, what does that say about the Quran? You know what I mean? And how, what is it to some Muslims? Is this worth being attacked by? I mean, I don't know. How do you paint the picture?
I mean, look, to be honest, like I've for the amount of conversations I've normally had, I've never got so worked up. So it's I'm trying to just level out, bro, to be honest, because we've had many conversations, and I'm not like this, and I my fact is that I'm aware of your channel. I'm aware that there's Christian apologists also going into the Quran and doing this. It's been happening for forever. It's not something that's new. How that reaction is in Islamic countries, I don't know. Speaking from the West, obviously in Pakistan, things flare up so dramatically there. We know that for a fact. I cover stories with Nuria on that. And there's other parts of the Islamic world where things spark off. And innocent lives are taken. And I stand against that.
Thank you.
And I think the majority do also. But
that's
again,
where you and AP would disagree on, right?
I mean, I generally, people aren't sort of, that's what my opinion is. I can speak on it without, having someone verbally attack and huff and puff about it. That's how you have adult conversations.
And this one, oh, you're muted, AP. You're muted. You're muted, AP.
If you want to have supposedly adult conversations, but then twist such facts, I just All I
Dude,
can
I'm
do is
speaking.
often
I'm
talk
just.
about
I'm airing out a thought. We're having a discussion. That's what
Okay,
happens.
okay.
I'm
Why
sorry.
are
I'm not in
you?
apologist mode.
Geez, why are you interrupting me?
Because you've been hostile and rude as soon as
Yeah, hey,
you've engaged
friendly
with me.
Muslim. I'm sorry, but right now we are having very difficult days. And as an ex-Muslim, as an open, outspoken critic of Islam, who is constantly bombarded with death threats and all kinds of disgusting filth from a specific part of the human population, it is extremely difficult for me to listen to such things after a man who
Oh
is
well,
a
then you should have
brave
told
hero,
Derek
who is a
about that.
brave
You should have told
hero,
Derek
is
about that,
brutally
and you
stabbed. Can
should
you
have
please
said,
shut
"I
up?
can't be.
Can you please
I
shut up?
can't be with a
Can you
Muslim.
please
I
shut
can't
up?
be with
Can you
another
please shut up?
Muslim."
Can you
No, I
please
can't
shut up?
because you
Can you
are
please
not.
shut
If
up?
you
I'm
can have
talking.
me
I
on
just
the
let you
panel,
talk.
you should
I
have
just let you
told
speak.
him.
Please let me talk.
You should have told
Will
him
you let
that
me
I
talk?
shouldn't be here.
Will you let
Guys.
me talk?
I'm not going to be your punch bag, mate. I'm telling you now.
Will you let me talk? You don't have to be. You just have to shut the fuck up, please.
Chill.
Excuse me?
AP.
Just shut up,
You
man.
need to
You are
grow up.
interrupting me, and then you are
You need
complaining.
to
You did
grow
this
up.
earlier.
You need to
You
grow
did
up.
this earlier.
You need
Be
to grow up.
quiet and let me
You
talk.
need to grow up. You don't tell me nothing. You need to grow up.
All right,
Let
guys.
go.
Please
Look,
let me
next
talk.
super chat.
I was just talking about something. Can you please let me finish? When we are having days like these, when a representative of a criticism of Islam, a literary genius, is stabbed brutally on stage, and the vast majority of Muslim commenters on this issue are celebrating this, and no significant voice out of the Muslim world comes out there to condemn this, then I'm sorry, it's
Who are
very
these
hard for
significant
me and
voices?
others like me.
Who
Oh
are
my
these
God.
significant voices, please? Please tell us who these
Just go ahead.
significant
Go
voices
ahead,
are.
Derek.
Other than
And
Ali
you are
Dawah and
you are
Mohammed
telling me
Hijab.
to grow up. Stop living in a fucking fantasy. Go ahead.
Lev Polyakov. I'm butchering your
Lofty
name,
cool
Lev.
again.
Lev says, to Apostate Prophet, I'd love to have you on for a debate on this subject on Break the Rules with a Muslim for tomorrow, Friday, or early next week. Please check email when you can.
I will check it out. Thank you. Yeah.
Lev, thank you
He's
for the super
upset that
chat.
Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab haven't said something because they're the center of the universe, basically.
Have you
So
said
if
something
they
to
haven't
them?
spoken out,
Have you said something to them?
basically that's it.
Do you speak to the well-known Muslim apologists and tell them that they are completely wrong about this? Because as far as I see, you often share their opinions and even attack people like me when we say something offensive about
I have
Islam
never
while
attacked
joining
you,
them
so
in your attack.
don't play the pity
Yes, you
party.
have. Don't lie
I
about
have
me.
never
I can pull it
attacked
up
you
for
at all.
Yes, you have.
I've never attacked you. I've attacked your
It's
argument.
very nice
I've
how you ignore
attacked
how
your-
you ignore the significant part of what I actually said. Do you tell those people that they are wrong? No, you don't.
What?
End of story.
But are they my best mates? Are they on a WhatsApp group?
You are supposed to be somebody who changes the perception of Islam. You talk about this,
I do not
but then you
speak for
don't go out there and
1.8
do
billion,
anything
mate.
about it
I'm
at
just
all.
a normal guy who tries to do his best by opening up some dialogue. That's it.
Yeah. You know where you can do that? Don't come and do that to the enemies of Islam, as we are called. Go and do that to your Muslim population because they need
Stop
that
doing the
most,
theatrics, man.
not us.
Inquisitive Mind says the ghost of MythVision will be back. Yes, you are the ghost of MythVision, Inquisitive. Thank you so much for the super chat. Stop scamming, man. If we look at some comment sections, one would think most everyone supports the war against Ukraine. Reading comment sections are not a good metric. Stop scamming, man says.
Oh, yeah. In reality, all Muslims really love Salman Rushdie and they are completely against violence. Yeah.
All right. We got one here. Islam Channel USA. Derek here. Buy a gallon of gas. Keep up the difficult talks. Peace and love. And you do look like Triple H, just joking around. Where did that come from, man? Looking like Triple H. Thanks for that super chat, Islam Channel USA. Paul's back. AP and FM will be buddies in the future.
Inshallah.
Hey, friendly Muslim, Derek, everybody, I'm sorry, right? I don't want to talk like this to anybody, including people who really hate me or that I'm really extremely opposed to. I'm aware that I have a very difficult time right now staying calm with anything. I'm completely aware of that. So without admitting that I'm wrong about this, I would like to admit that I'm actually wrong about how I'm handling my responses and how I'm handling the things that you say. So I would like to apologize for my part and try to be more calm with the situation.
And I appreciate that, and I hope that that's my goal, right? And you're really in the front line here, dealing with a lot more criticism, and you put yourself in that position. So I think that it's easy. You have more vested in it too. I'm not an ex-Muslim, so it's easy for me. But Ash says, MythVision, ask apostate if he condemns the stabbing of is it what's this Uthman? I'm sure he would. Who?
Sheikh
Sheikh
Uthman, he's a Muslim preacher.
I'm sure he will say yes, but it's important to hear it from him. Someone asks.
I was the one who, when I heard that the guy got stabbed, I immediately made a post and condemned it.
That's right. Okay. Someone's answered that for you. Sorry, I'm scrolling down, so bear with me.
Also, Derek, can I just interject for 1 second and just say,
Please.
to jump on what AP was saying, I completely understand and appreciate, like, as I was saying to you earlier, Derek, like this, like, entire Salman Rushdie incident, everything around it, like, just the overwhelming silence from like Islamic countries and Muslim leaders in general, and just the wider general Muslim public. It just makes everything we do and say, like, it just brings everything closer to home. So I cannot imagine how much somebody like AP would be feeling the brunt of this. I've just come into activism for a year now, and this incident has shaken me up. It's made me like consider my life decisions, and somebody like AP who is now doing the kind of like things that are on the level of what Charlie Hebdo was doing on just on a digital level. You just realize that the enemy that you've taken on is so much bigger than you, and it could just take one fanatic or it could take an entire like sting operation. But your life is always you've always kind of got to watch your back. So obviously this is a very hyper emotional time for a lot of ex-Muslim activists. Most of us are politically homeless in whatever country we reside in. So yeah, I just want to say to AP, like, we completely get it when we're all with you, and this is a wake-up call to all of us. Never let our guard down, and the struggle continues always.
Thank you, Nuri. I always appreciate your response and your insight. Thank you.
I'll say one thing that I do hope. I've had plenty of conversations so far with Friendly Muslim, and while we don't believe the same things, I do hope, and this is maybe wishful thinking, maybe not, that more Muslims will follow suit and be friendly and kind and see your actions and become more like what we see with Friendly Muslim. That's one thing I hope. I know I keep coming back to reform, and you and Nuria seem to be a little bit glass is half empty on the concept. Not saying you aren't for it. When you see a positive, like a good progressive thinking Muslim, you're like, yeah, cool. But you're saying there's a huge, massive population of people who are what we would call fundamentalist in their religion. And I do believe that reform can happen. I can't say it'll happen tomorrow, but I do believe it can happen. There were fundamentals of the faith in Judaism. There were fundamentals in the faith of Christianity. And now we've got women preachers. We have queer preachers. We have things that are like way beyond what I was told as a fundamentalist Christian was even allowed. And so I say that to say, I think that humans have the capability of changing narratives, even if that sometimes people have to go to the grave before the next generation is willing or capable of doing something about it. I'm fingers crossed hoping that it'll happen. That's my goal. But what do you do?
Derek, can I just say something very important? Because I spoke to Ehrman from Atheist Republic, and I know Harris also, and I have made contact with some higher up da'is and voices who speak on this, and I want to arrange for a conversation to take place. That both sides can be discussed, and we can at least move the conversation forward. In some way to see where we can all do something better. Or just have that conversation, because at the moment there's such a big gap, man. Like honestly, like it is a huge gap. You know, I get caught in the middle sometimes. You know, getting pulled from Muslims saying,
You're half
"Look, why are
apostate,
you
half
engaging
Muslim.
here?" You know, like you know, it's I get a lot of crap, man. You know, so
I bet.
do, and I've
Well, like
benefited from learning
theoretically, I
some.
get what you're saying, friendly Muslim. Like that would be blissful. That's like such a beautiful ideal. But how do you move dialogue forward when one side is saying that actually Islam as an ideology is problematic, and you've got another group which is adamant to hold on to it, and you're trying to meet somewhere in the middle? Well, sorry, mate, there really is no middle ground here because one is saying that the ideology is a problem to begin with, and the other side is saying, oh, like for example, you're just the exception to the rule, you're an anomaly. I feel like you're more humanistic than you know, and you are better than Islam, you don't even know it. If
No,
your
no,
views are what you say you are when you
I
come
don't
onto
want to
Sunday Scoop,
listen.
if you
I
condemn
know, but
killing in its very outright outset, right? Like when I talked to you on Sunday Scoop and I said, would you, if you just heard about a killing, for example, Salman Rushdie just got stabbed for getting on stage, does that seem wrong to you or not? Yes or no? Not knowing anything, right? Withholding all the facts, would that be just inherently wrong to you? So we're starting at basics here, but you're able to toe that line.
I'm
Everybody else
offended
is
by
going to
that
hold on
now.
to Islam.
I'm offended by you
Why?
asking me that because the natural
Why?
stance should be, yeah, of course, an innocent person got attacked,
Well,
and
then
I've
believe it
said
or
that.
not, you're better than Islam. But that's the thing. How do we build that bridge when
No,
we're
but that,
saying something so polar opposite?
I mean, I would love that rabbi to have a conversation, and you ask him, Derek. Like, can he? I'd take my Islam from him, and he's a scholar and a learned man, and say, look, what he understands Sharia. What am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? You know, and that's another conversation. I'd follow. I'd have that rabbi. I saw the interview. Let's see what his take is on it. No problem.
I really appreciate it. Go subscribe to Nuria. Just giving her a shout out, and the shout out from Paul, just saying to go check out AP's new video, show appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I talked to Rabbi Tovey Singer, and I look forward to seeing what he'll do with me. But there are certain limitations that he may or may not be willing to talk. I don't know if he wants to get into the debate. AP knows a little bit about that as well. So go check out AP's new video. Yes, inquisitive mind. Best way for AP to chill is to go to Hamza's den.
Oh,
No,
Lord, no.
no.
Would you chill or would you get more extreme?
No, honestly, the last time I went, well, I only went once. They don't accept me anymore. They kicked me out permanently. But the one time that I went there, I found it hilarious. I had so much fun. So yeah,
Maybe
I
you should
wish.
go over there and clip it for another episode. But the problem is you might be waiting for hours in the queue,
Yeah.
and you know how that goes. And then they really don't want you on or something. You never know.
Yeah, they don't want me anymore. They're sad, mad at me.
Thank you, the ghost of MythVision. Conan Lee throwing love this way. Thank you, Conan. Did I miss a chat by you? Oh, yeah. Let's get Conan Lee here. Although I appreciate with AP's position regarding Islam, it is a fallacy nonetheless to expect Islamists to speak out. And also, if they don't, they are therefore in support of a particular act.
Well, that's not my claim.
I think that was the only
But
chat.
that's all I want to say.
Okay, you're in the chat talking too. So you see everything that's going on. You're omniscient here. AP is omniscient. And I did post a link. Please subscribe to Nuria's channel. Friendly Muslim, when are you going to start your own channel, man, and start making an impact? Because what I'd love to see, honestly, is to
When
have
are you going to build that bridge?
Look, no. Seriously, you're not lying, Nuria. Like you have a lot of insight. You've listened to both sides. You get it. Create a YouTube channel and then create content and like put out what you think. And people like me who, try to bridge those gaps will promote it. I mean, I'll be happy to share content if I find that it fits like we have a bridge here we can cross and show you as the anomaly, an example of a good person who still practices a religion or whatever. That's something I would love to see. But when are you going to do it? Because I find you always on other people's channels.
Yeah, no, I've got the channels and I've got the channels they're set up. I've got StreamYard. I could start in 5 minutes if I wanted to. People have been asking me to do so repeatedly as of the last couple of months. They want
Are
me
you
to host
afraid for your?
convers-
Are you afraid that something might come of you by speaking more progressive, if I can use the term, in your version of Islam?
No, because I've managed. I've spoken to people higher up in the Dawah scene and thing, and they're aware of. I speak to Harris. They're aware that I speak to Atheist Republic. They're aware that this is part of what I do, and some of them are happy to do so because they don't like the toxicity either. But it's being the bridge a gap also. So yeah, I'm gonna have another conversation with people, and if I can get support from both ways, where we can have healthy conversations with people, then yeah, it could be by the beginning of next week that we get that going.
This was a really good one Alan Bird just put. The kind of mindset that attacked Rushdie is responsible for far more attack upon Muslims. This is the problem that we're finding. Like that kind of attack, you know how the news is. You know how propaganda is. And you know that stereotypical stuff is going to come of this. More harm in the long run and more prejudice, more bias, more everything comes from these things by the acts of people like this that cause everyone to start going, oh, here's another Muslim. He's probably going to stab me, or they're going to probably blow themselves up, or something like that comes from these kind of attacks. And I feel like I do sympathize with all angles here, but I think what AP's saying is there has to be the courage within, because they're not going to listen to an apostate. They're not going to listen to you, AP. You're muted.
I will say it even more bluntly and say, I'm sorry, but that's your problem. That's what I would like to say to Muslims, because the problem, the initial instigation and aggression comes from within you. The public picture and what we are seeing is that most of those who react to it among you are agree with the attackers, agree with the aggressions, agree with the anger. Not many of you actually speak out against it. Not many of you try to stop it. It is your responsibility to go out there and to end this and to change this public perception. It is your issue. It's not up to me or others to be worried about the possible backlash that Muslims will get because some Muslim attacks non-Muslims. I'm sorry, it's simply not my problem.
And then to go one step further, when we are genuinely like shaken up by something like this and in fear of our own lives, they, because of this perception issue, seem to have their argument even more strengthened for Islamophobia. So it's a vicious cycle.
Yep.
Yep. Couple more super chats. We're going to end this episode soon. Abel Sheva says, Judaism and Islam, Bible and Quran, anti-parallels for reincarnation, process some before others. Everybody wins. Shroud of Turin is proof. Bet. Process it.
All right.
Abel, thank you for the super chat. Abel, thank you. You're
Absolutely.
going to heaven. You're already in heaven right now. So thank you for that. Paul says, AP is a hero.
Thank you.
Say it again.
Eric, I'm curious as to what MythVision Heaven looks like.
Well, it's better than anything you can imagine.
It's better than the Islamic one, yeah? It's better than Jannah.
It's better than any heaven of any religion ever.
A friendly Muslim doubts it. Derek, do you beat 72 90-foot virgins that you can see inside their muscles and their veins and stuff, and rivers of honey and milk and reclining thrones and boy servants? Can you beat that, Derek?
I think I'm going to become a Muslim now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing with you.
That's the way Ben Friendly Muslims on.
Yeah,
I put the halal juice away, man. I was really happy with it.
Someone actually told me this. What is the saying when you say you recite the conversion statement or whatever?
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. No, I'm not going to say the whole thing because someone will flip it and say I'm Muslim.
Oh.
Yeah, she'll be in the
But
club.
it's basically, yeah,
got
I
two of
bet.
you in one
Yeah, someone
stream.
wanted me to do that when Sheik Yabooty came on one time, and they in the chat, you almost said it. You almost said it.
Please, please don't do it, Derek, because it's like Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, then you'll be an ex-Muslim. Then you'll be an ex-Muslim,
Oh
ex-Christian,
my
ex-MythVision.
ex.
Oh my God,
MythVision.
what is
3
wrong
mil
with
on your
you?
head, bruh.
Oh man.
Friendly
Let's-
Muslim, can I ask you something quickly? There's just one problem that I have. If I was a, if I, as an activist or a public figure, was friends with and constantly shared posts by people who implicitly or explicitly state and or believe that Muslims should be executed or people who convert to Islam should be executed, and I'm happy with I'm friendly with those people. I love those people and I share their stuff. What would you think of me, and what would the public think of me?
Do you want to just specifically get to your point, because you're obviously on my Twitter?
I would just like to ask.
Retweeted people.
What would you think of me?
Do you want to go to the specific retweets, my friend, before you?
So you don't want
You
to
go
answer
to
my
my-
question?
No, I know what you're trying to do, and so you can cut the gameplay, mate. See, this is the whole thing, dude. Either go to my Twitter and say, "Oh, well, you retweeted X person," and that's what I did. So that doesn't mean I
Fine. Okay.
support them. It says on there
I can do
retweets
that.
on endorsements.
I know,
Alright, see?
but that's why I'm asking you the
Okay.
question. So what would you think if I did that, for example? If all I did, all
Are you
I
looking for a
befriended
gotcha?
and reposted and all
Are you
that
looking for
was
a
people who
gotcha
think that Muslims should
person?
be executed.
Who-
I think
okay,
everybody
so,
got the point. I think everybody got the point.
let's
You don't
do
want
this.
to answer the question.
No,
but-
no,
okay,
let's
go ahead.
finish it. No, let me finish. Let me answer your gotcha moment. Yeah. So, for
Okay.
example, you would say that Ali Dawah would be that person because he made a video in reference to you. Would I be correct in that statement?
I just
Would
asked you
I
a
be
very
correct
simple
that
question.
you're referring to Ali
do
Dawah?
you want to answer the question or not?
Let's be straight, mate. Don't try and be clever. Are you referring to Ali Dawah? Yes or no?
Why be
If you are
why be
referring to Ali
straight and then
Dawah, if you are referring to Ali Dawah, then you'll see a picture of Ehrman from Atheist Republic having dinner with Ali Dawah. So obviously, whatever
Okay.
he said in that moment doesn't apply because he's having dinner with Atheist Republic, who's an
There's a
ex-Muslim
huge difference.
who
There's
was
a
in the
huge
park
difference here.
arguing.
There's
Don't
a huge
listen.
difference here
You
in
need to
logic.
stop.
There's a huge.
You need to stop putting Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab as
Okay,
the
there's a
speakers of 2
huge
billion people.
difference here because Armin Navabi is not somebody who agrees with them, enjoys them, shares all their views, retweets their stuff all the time. You are a Muslim apologist who reposts
I'm
and
not a Muslim.
retweets
Why
all the
would you say
time.
that I'm an apologist? I read
That's
everything.
just what it's called. If
I
you
read
come
your
out
stuff
here,
for Harris also.
if you come out here and defend Islam, then you are by definition a Muslim apologist. But fine, if you don't want to
You're
say
not
that,
going-
let's
listen,
say you are a Muslim.
I'm sorry, I'm a
let's just
Muslim,
say-
and I'm sorry that offends you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ridwan, please, honestly, mate.
I never
I
said
would
it
love to.
offended.
I understand now why people can't engage with you, mate. It's better to. I would
Hey,
rather,
I just
let
asked you.
Harris-
I just asked you a very
I
simple
would
question.
rather-
Why don't you
'cause
want to
you're
answer the
just-
question?
You're just trying to be an apologist. You're trying to get your gotcha moment on a Muslim. That's it.
No, I'm
That's
just
it,
trying
that's
to
all you
make
do
you
on the
understand. I'm trying to make you understand something. Why don't you answer my question? It's very simple. Everybody here got it.
Oh, so you've got your gotcha moments. Everyone in the chat has it, basically. What
Okay.
What are you getting at?
No. Everybody got the question. Why don't you want to answer the question? If you want to
What
talk
is
about
your
these
question?
things, why don't you want to answer my question? My question was, if I, as a person on social media, as an activist, as a public figure, whatever it is, was busy constantly following, befriending, happily, enjoying the company of, and retweeting and reposting
Enjoying
people
the company
who
of.
believe, can you please let me speak? And then you comment, accuse me of
specific,
not being mature. Can you please let me speak? If I did that with people who implicitly or explicitly argue, say, or believe that Muslims should be executed, that people who convert to Islam should be executed, with such horrible people who not even exist, what would you think of me, and what would the Muslim population think of me? Please answer the question.
Who are you speaking about?
So you don't want to answer the question. Wonderful. Great.
I want to know who you're speaking about, who you're referring to. You made up these imaginary people.
I'm not
so why
talking.
don't
I'm not
you
talking
say
about
who they
specific
are?
people. All I did was ask you a simple question. You did not answer it. We are done.
Have you
here.
retweeted
When I-
Ali Dawah
when I-
from the
when I-
Muslim?
no, no, no,
Have
no,
you
no.
retweeted
Okay.
Ali Dawah?
Let me say that. If you go to
Let
Friendly
me
Muslims
finish.
Twitter
Let me
page,
finish.
you
You're
will
asking
see
me the question.
you will see the page 5 Pillars, which constantly endorses such things. You will see Smile to Jannah, which endorses such things. You will see Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab, Isa Dawah, CJ Worldman, all of these people who constantly, Ijaz, for example, Abu Amina Ilyas, who constantly promote such ideas, who defend such ideas, who stand with those people who defend such ideas. You stand with these people, you support them, you retweet them, you love them, you befriend them, and then you come on here pretending that their views are not that their views are a problem and you are not. I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously. If you stand together with people who want
I
us
don't care
killed,
what you think,
who want us
with your
executed, who want
huffy-puffy
us
attitude.
killed, then I can't take you seriously.
Nobody
You're
wants
a
you
child. You
attitude.
have no idea
Stop
what you're
doing the
talking
whole. Stop trying.
or really,
to
you
always
think these people
attack
don't want ex-Muslims
the Muslim
executed?
from having a
Although they
conversation.
openly say it? You think these people don't want ex-Muslims
Do
executed?
you have them
Is that
openly
what
saying
you're
it
arguing?
other than Ali Dawah?
Yes.
Who have you got? Have
So-
you got a video of Ijaz? You've got a
I just
video of
asked you a very
Ijaz.
simple question. I just asked you a very simple question,
You
which you
just
avoid
said
again with a counter question.
Playing
Do you-
games. You just said Ijaz.
Hey, everybody
just
got the
showed
point.
Ijaz. You just
Everybody
mentioned
got the
him.
point. Your true face is
You
right
just-
out here. Go
You
ahead.
just showed Smile to Jannah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Try and
He's a
save
child,
yourself.
man.
You're drowning. Go ahead.
All right, couple more
It's all
super
game
chats,
playing.
everybody.
I'm the
All game
problem.
playing.
Let's talk truth.
You're a
Human,
game
thank you for the
player,
super
mate.
chat. They says, please don't forget to mention that only Sikhs wear
Immature
turbans in the
child.
West, and Sikhism is
You are
a
a charlatan.
separate,
Shut up.
and most of Muslims not wear turbans in Western countries. Thank you for
You
notifying us. Guys, you guys are being
I can
rude. You're
tell.
not letting me read these damn super chats. Discovering ancient history with Pat
In all the
Lowinger.
time that you've known me,
The mask
In
was
all the time
removed.
that
His
you've
true
known me,
face
has
was
anyone
revealed.
spoken
Now
to
he
me
is
in
met. You
panel?
are a charlatan. I'm
has
sorry.
anyone spoken to me like this? See, so for all the good work that I do, Ridwan wants to get a gotcha moment and try and portray his narrative. See,
Maybe
let's
I have a
build
good
bridge.
eye,
Let's
and
try and do
I see
something
that you are a
positive.
I see that you are a charlatan, and I show you a true face. That's why you are angry, and I may be unique in this.
I'm not
proud
angry.
of
I'm
that.
angry
Good.
because you're rude and unintelligible to speak to.
And
You've
you are a
sworn,
charlatan. I'm
You've
sorry.
cussed out. Stop with the name calling, all right? You've been rude. You've attacked me. If you didn't want to be on a panel with a Muslim, you should have just told Derek, I'm coming up. I can't be with a Muslim on panel.
With
You
a
can't
Muslim
have
who
an
doesn't
adult
want to
conversation.
answer simple questions.
I don't need to answer to you when you behave the way you've done.
who wants to play the
I
victim
know
here.
who I retweet.
You are a
Harris
charlatan. You are a
follows
friendly
me.
fraudster. That's what you are.
Harris
I don't
Sultan
care what
follows
Harris
me.
does.
So he
I
knows
don't
who
care.
I retweet.
I don't care.
I know everyone in the whole. That's what happens. I
You are a
retweet
friendly
Harris's stuff
charlatan. Everybody
also.
has seen your face. We can go ahead. We can continue. Go ahead.
Okay, are you happy now? Are you happy you've tried to oh look, I went on there.
Derek, maybe you
I
should look
attacked
into
him.
the concept of taqiyya. Maybe I have no idea what's going on here, but this is your show and you can carry on with the super chats if you want to be here.
Why am I
fun.
referred to as a liar? Like seriously, after all the
Because
months
you
that we've
are.
spoken.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Derek,
Here's
is
the
this
deal.
right? Derek,
I'm gonna
honestly,
I'm gonna move
Derek, is
on.
this
I'm
right?
gonna let you guys. Listen. I think that both of you guys have gotten worked up again, and I think that it's been like trying to get you back and forth. You're trying to go back and forth to defend yourself, and he's trying to get
No,
you.
but to be fair, Derek, I'm so sorry to intervene, but just because I mentioned earlier as well, like I just want to ask Friendly Muslim, because exactly that's the question that you also avoided earlier. If AP and I are on one side and we're saying one thing, and other people are on the other side, and you happen to be retweeting them, and then you say you're building this bridge between us, how do you intend to do that when you are so vehemently on their side on certain platforms, but then you have these conversations with us?
You are
So
putting.
what's the
So when
game
I
here?
retweeted, Harris has also shared the story. So what happened to that?
That's fine.
No,
Harris shares
listen,
stories
Harris
from
is in the
Hindus and
chat.
Muslims
Harris
both
is
alike.
in the
That
chat right now. I just
Harris
added
sharing
Harris.
stories has nothing to do with my question. My question is, how do you intend to build this gap between ex-Muslims who say Islam is problematic and then yourself who aligns themselves with Muslims on Twitter, retweets
Why do
their
I align
very
myself?
problematic. Well, because if you're retweeting their rhetoric, which encourages apostates like
Constantly,
myself
by the
and
way.
AP to be killed, and then you're coming on our channels and you're showing us news articles, and we are also saying, yeah, Muslims should not be brutally killed or anything. We stand for Muslim rights. We do not stand for Muslim bigotry at all. We are with you on that, but you're not willing to level with us on the other thing because you're retweeting Muslims who want us dead, mate. That's the problem here.
No,
Do you see that?
have you
Exactly.
actually you're projecting onto people that you haven't spoken to? So how can you put that onto people that you haven't spoken
How
to?
so?
That you don't
How
have
am I
their view
projecting
on
onto
it?
how am I projecting onto Ali Dawah when he openly says in a perfect Islamic state apostates would be beheaded, and we're proud of that? How am I projecting?
And
Have I
explicitly says that
retweeted
to
Ali
me, by the
Dawah?
way.
Have I retweeted Ali Dawah?
Possibly, yeah. You
I'm
have
not
Mohammed Hijab
sure.
right on there. But do you want me to dig out all the things that Mohammed Hijab did and said and what he stands for? Please stop.
What do you mean? What he stands for?
Friendly. Can I add? I mean, I've been listening to you guys, and I'm sorry to say, and obviously AP and on Sunday school we spoke about it that this is a wake up call for all ex-Muslims that we might think that oh we're safe or whatever. This can happen to any one of us, and you are not in that position that we are. So that's why AP can probably get worked up. And having said that, I haven't seen either of you get so worked up. But this is a very fair question, and I'm cussing myself there. Why I didn't think of that. You saying that if I retweeted, let's say, even if I retweeted Ali Dawah, I just retweeted that MCB, Muslim Council of Britain, one that okay, people should not be calling them al-taqiyya or something, especially when we ask Muslims to condemn that. So that would not be the same for people like me because we know that I stand on the opposite side. But the equivalent would be if you find an ex-Muslim, and there are some bad ones too. The plenty that you probably haven't even heard of because we don't align ourselves with them. If someone is a bigot from our own community, if they've ever said anything bad, we would disassociate ourselves with them. So the question to you is very simple. You know who Ali Dawah is. You know all these guys, what kind of views they hold. Fair enough, you don't hold all of their views. But don't you think it's appropriate for you to disassociate yourself with them as well, especially if you want to show yourself as you're not like them, they're bad Muslims, and even if you want to be naive and you want to say, well, majority of Muslims condemn this attack, which is a very preposterous statement to make. You're either too ignorant or you're just, I'm sorry to say, you're just lying or you just want to live in denial. Don't you think it's a fair enough request from us that you say, look, I don't agree with these people, and I want to disassociate myself with these guys.
Maybe I'm not the right person, dude. I'm still figuring this lane out, man. You know that I've been one of the first ones to sort of navigate this or build up conversations. So I'm new to this also. I don't have all the answers. I've only been
No,
speaking
you
to you for
don't.
like
No, but
6
you
to
have
8
this
months.
here. No, but friendly. But you have this answer that you say that violence. You are against any kind of violence. So any person who says that, AP gave you a perfect example. How would you feel? Look at Robert Spencer. The moment I found out that he's a bigot, I started a war with him. I went to war with him, even though all he does is just crap on Islam all the time. But I don't want to associate myself with him. And there's so many other people like that we do. So the Robert Spencer version in the Dawa scene of people like Ali Dawa and even Five Pillars and all these, all of these guys would be like that. And if they're not, let's say if there's a doubt about Five Pillars, who was the guy? I think Smile to Jannah. When that Danish cartoonist guy was a few months ago when he died in a car accident, He was laughing. He was making jokes about it,
Yeah.
and I saw that you have you have retweeted him as
I
well.
wasn't
Don't you think
okay.
if you were
I may not be. I may not be know about he did that, dude. So if you've brought it to my attention now, then fine, I'll look at it and I'll go. All right, well, I need to reconsider retweeting this person. Just because I've retweeted them, I don't
okay,
know their whole history. I mean, you've got to give me some level of
okay,
fairness. Like, all right, cool. I don't know
we're
everyone.
willing
I
to
didn't
do
know
it.
you had
W-
a
If I
problem
if
with
I
yeah.
may friendly, I
Yeah,
think,
but
and I might be reading into your guys' minds here, but tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm on the right path, AP Harris and Naria. Do you feel like the fact that he's sharing this material, that maybe there's dishonesty here? And then, of course, I want to have this like open dialogue here for a second. Do you think that his motives are like secret here, that he actually knows this stuff and he's trying to bridge a gap? Is that what you guys are kind of implying by the fact that he knows what these guys think? Like, we know what these guys think, and we're not even Muslims. You imagine that if you're a Muslim practicing and learning from other Muslims that you would know. So in your mind, are you guys thinking that there's a dishonesty here?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a
And
nobody. Like,
I would.
I
would.
want to have a conversation because I want you to be able to respond
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry.
I just did this a very simple thing and went on your Twitter page just to have a final point to look for something. And here I see that you actually retweeted or tweeted videos from Daniel Hikikichu. Which ex-Muslim doesn't know who Daniel Hikikichu is and what he stands for and represents? I'm done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's why, friendly, that question still stands
you
to you, is that if you're aligning yourself with people like that, how do you ever intend to be a bridge? I don't understand. You can come on our channels till the cows come home and share stories about how Muslims are persecuted, and we'll happily share them because we stand for the same values in that sense. But I don't understand. If you can echo Daniel Hakikachu's views, you're clearly
I
not a
don't
bridge.
echo
So
a
which way is
retweet.
it?
A retweet is not an echo of anything, of all his
Is it
views
not?
or everything that he stands for, or all his
how would you
arguments.
feel if I started retweeting Robert Spencer now that you know that I know that he's a bigot, whether he said
Forget about
something
that.
right or wrong, whether he said something right or wrong about Islam, and to be honest, most of the time, whatever he says about Islam is true. But I don't retweet. I'm not echoing his sentiments. I'm not echoing his values. How would you feel
But
then?
I
what if we started
okay,
retweeting
look,
Richard Spencer or
I don't
white
agree.
supremacists with the
I
KKK,
don't
for
agree
example?
with all your tweets either, Harris, bro. When you
Get
retweet some stuff, I don't
get
I don't
agree
agree
with
with
it.
all of Horace's tweets as well. Don't worry. I'm
Yeah,
with you there.
you know,
even I don't
you
agree
know,
with some of my tweets.
Oh,
you
you've
know,
got a
like
serious problem, mate.
I was following Ridwan. I didn't appreciate all of his tweets. I didn't say
Dude,
anything to him.
that is
You know,
different. Let me just bring one more example, okay? Two people that I can think of. Richard Spencer, who is a white nationalist, a very outspoken, very hateful guy. And what's that guy's name? David Duke, that former KKK guy who is very big on white supremacy and all that.
Stephen Molyneux.
If my and such people, I mean, if my feed was full of those people, but all the stuff that I retweet from them has nothing to do with white nationalism and with hatred and all of that, but it seems like those are the guys that I follow and retweet all the time. I mean, what would anybody think of me? Please.
I would think that you're a closeted, you're sucking up to pandering to these white supremacists. That's what I would think of you.
Yeah.
Friendly Muslim, what do you feel? I mean, look, you're kind of ganged up here. Everybody's in a sense not in line with you and trying to say like, hey, you have these friends, you seem to be you're trying to bridge conversation, but it seems it's not just a bridge. You side with them more than you would side with those who are obviously not Muslims.
You cannot listen.
I'm not saying you
cannot have a
side with those
conversation.
statements, of course, the I wish these guys died type statements or I want them dead. I'm simply saying that it's one of those categories that maybe it's a Muslim thing. I don't know because I've never Muslim, but like the idea that Sharia would have apostate prophet put to death under Islamic State, he would be put to death. In fact, right now, if you were in Afghanistan, AP, you'd get killed, like without a doubt. They would kill you.
Of course.
And my point is some of these Muslims, like Ali Dawa, who's gone publicly, said, yeah, like, how do you differentiate? How do you separate? Well, I like these things he says about Islam because I agree with the religion at the end of the day, but I don't think people should kill Harris or Nuria or Apostate Prophet. Like, it's one of those really tough, that's not a little thing to like put to the side in our eyes. But what about you? How do you separate those two things?
The problem is that they've all had arguments with, they've had debates with Daniel Hikachu, for example. I was on Ahmed's channel and someone said, well, why don't you condemn Daniel Hikachu completely? Because he said X, Y, and Z. And I said, look, I just know from afar some arguments that he's put forward in a debate. Fine, all right, I acknowledge them. Doesn't mean I accept them, I follow them. Harris had a debate with him. Harris put forward some points also. I was like, okay, fine. So I may view these people as, it doesn't mean I idolize any of them, essentially, but I look at the different sides of both sides of something.
Yeah, but friendly, but you can't take a middle. You can't take. If I found something about Stalin and I say, okay, he was right on that particular topic, then I'm not going to start sharing his quotes. As I said, I can come up with those quotes myself, or I can find similar quotes, similar characteristics, and other people that I align with. So fair enough. Here's the thing: that if you're trying to navigate through, and you've said it that you're still new to this, how about policy like Majid Nawaz? Yeah, before he went all cuckoo on vaccine and everything, but. How about that? He would not side with any of these people. He would say, "My Islam is better. This is my Islam. Fair enough. Whatever you want to have, you want to do takfir on him or not. That's your issue." But what if you say that Islam, and you are a Muslim, you're a friendly Muslim, and I'm sure you have your own rosy picture of Islam. Fair enough. But why could you not present that without piggybacking off these guys who clearly have some abhorrent views? Daniel Hakikachu justifies owning sex slaves. I mean, how does that work? He says that women should be beaten up because if they're empowered, then they're not going to make enough babies. Fair enough, you might like one particular argument of Daniel Hakikachu, but does that warrant that you should retweet him, or you should say, okay, well, I can't fully condemn him? Would you condemn him 98% on 98% of the time, or 97, or 50-50? What is it? I mean, surely we have to draw a line. Like as I said, Robert Spencer, probably when he speaks about Islam, 99% of the time he's correct. But I would never align myself with him. I did do it before I didn't realize that he was a bigot. But now that I know, even though what he says about Islam is almost identical to what I think of Islam, but I'm not going to align myself with him.
I got a super chat in the vein of this. I want to have you respond, friendly Muslim, but this is in defense, I think, of you in a sense. There's a guy named Hani. He's an ex-Muslim. Critical faculty is sharing a platform with Dr. Price, who advocated on video, if you will, children be shot for rioting. Shall we apply the same standard to him? I don't for a moment think he shares these views, by the way. And of course, I think there was some backpedaling on the statement, but it's just, it's one of those things. I know that Hani doesn't think that way about Bob Price, but
yeah, because Dr. Price got a lot of backlash for he got deplatformed, right? For a lot of platforms for being like racist and having these like more far right kind of views. And then I remember speaking to Hani and saying, "Wow, I'm surprised that you're still platforming him." But it was like that extra, like, oh, I am willing to hear him out and like listen to his side and put forward my side, and then like make that boundary clear. So I haven't seen their latest videos, but like I have seen Hani give him some pushback in the videos that I've seen, or Hani accuse him of being like, oh, this is what people have said about you. Like, what do you have to say? And every single time I've seen Dr. Price obviously like condemn it and say, no, that's not what I'm like at all. And then he like pose his views. But yeah, at that point in time, I was just saying kudos to Hani for still even platforming him when everybody around me, I think, did you as well, Derek? Maybe, I don't know, you had an encounter with him. So Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
friends
what
with
happened.
Hanny, and in fact, I still now. I mean, I'm still in communication with Bob. I mean, we're friends. I don't want to have him, on MythVision right now. That's not something that I want to do. We had a big
Yeah.
eruption take place, but it's like I think he's driven by political motivations why he makes the stances. In this case, it's like I want people to be killed for not believing what I believe. And it's tough. It's tough because if I wanted to bridge friendships across the boundaries, I can't imagine it's easy being actually neutral to some degree and hearing someone say, like, I'm friends with AP and I'm friends with Friendly Muslim. Now I have a much closer relationship and I've been close to AP. He's never advocated wanting people to be killed, even though there have been accusations where they've tried to say, well, the reason why is it Sheikh Uthman got stabbed is AP's rhetoric or something. Like there's always accusations. Or Ali Dawa wants to try and blame you for the reason there's hate and killings of Muslims, when like he literally is saying on air, like, I want you to be killed. Like between both of you, I imagine a balance. But if Friendly Muslim was like, you deserve to die and it's part of your belief system, I'm a little bit different. I went so far as to try and take a stance against the closest friend that I had, which was Bob, for something I believed was wrong. And it's very difficult.
Can I ask Nizam 44 to come up? He's a Muslim brother. He's well known in the Dawah scene. He's more knowledgeable than me. He knows Ali Dawah and I think Muhammad Hijab. Also, I think it'd be a fair panel also to get his views on things also.
Yeah.
Can we invite him
yeah.
up, please?
Yeah.
But before you do that, which is fair enough. But Friendly Muslim, I mean, you've been coming on to my show for what, maybe more than a couple of months now, and as I said, I'm sorry, I'm actually disappointed because you're not going to lose your Muslim identity if you said that, okay, you know what, I would distance myself from these kind of people who clearly you would agree who hold abhorrent views. I gave you clear as daylight example, like Robert Spencer. There's so many Hindutva people who say whatever they say about Islam, I agree with them, but I don't endorse them, or I don't try to give off an impression that, hey, look, I'm retweeting them, or I'm supporting them, or whatever. I'm a bit disappointed that you could do your work that you intend to do. You could still do it without getting in bed with these people. And Majid Nawaz
I'm
is a
not
clear
in bed.
example of
I
that.
don't even know the guy. I don't even know the guy, man. I mean, this is the whole thing. I'm in bed with Daniel Hikichu. I've never spoken to the guy. I don't know him. There's no affiliation. So where's that? Where does that come into? I've never met Ali Dawah. I've never met Mohammed Hijab. I've never met Smal Tijana. I've only been in the scene 6 months, man.
Yeah, but do you see how it is for the optics, though? I mean,
Listen,
see that,
look,
yeah.
dude, look. It is. I can give up, or I can just, I'm on the bro. Do you know what? I'm literally 2 weeks away from actually having some better conversations and trying to move some sort of discussion forward. So fine. Whatever you want to say is whatever you want to say. You want to call me a liar? You want to call me this, that, and the other? Fair enough. Like I'm only doing what I can do in my limited experience.
No, but I'm not calling you a liar. Or as I said, like I would expect more from you. And I think when you go back and you think about it, I'm pretty sure you'd see the line of reasoning that we're applying here. And
Okay.
Look,
No, it's not. It's not just
Things
that, but it's like the talk of substance. Like
I don't like the tweet that you put out about you need to check your neighbor and all that, dude. I was deeply hurt by that tweet.
and we spoke about it, didn't we?
I don't agree with it.
And we spoke about it, and you agreed with me. I think,
I think it was
or
a
maybe whether you
fantastic
agreed
tweet.
with me or not. Well, I don't know whether you agreed with me or not, but I put forward my rationale. I didn't say that you should harass Muslims. I said that if you get in a conversation with a Muslim, then ask them about this question. I just made this point in the chat as well. How especially this is like, if you want to say that I'm a proud Muslim, my religion is not like that. If you genuinely believe that and you want the world to believe in it, then how hard is it to say, yeah, man, whatever, this is terrible. I don't condone this. When we see this on hundreds, AP just showed you that MCB tweet. Underneath, all the Muslims are saying, you don't represent us. We're not, and you and I, but all of us, maybe barring MythVision, everyone else in this panel knows how Muslims see blasphemy. How are they seeing this episode? Majority of us, we know that. I must have been born yesterday if I fell into this notion that no, it's 50-50, or there's a silent majority that is not celebrating Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie was a pariah. He the fatwa that was pushing him, even I did not speak about him for a very, very long time, because I said that this is a death sentence, even though a lot of today's ex-Muslim activists have done far worse than what Salman Rushdie did. He wrote this book in 1988, probably, and I think he said that he's reverted back to Islam, but still the fatwa wasn't revoked, and I don't think he ever spoke about Islam with the same intensity that we see today. But still, a lot of us were like, okay, we're not going to talk about it because that one is just a totally different ball game. So, like, but you say that, and even on that, I'm taking it on your face value that maybe you have so much goodness in your heart and love for your own religion that you genuinely believe that majority of Muslims probably don't they're not celebrating this event. I'm even willing to give you that, but on the other hand, what we're saying, I'm sure you're going to think about it. I'm sure when
Yeah,
you're
no,
going to think about it,
look,
you'll probably agree with us more.
no, there's different elements of that, and also there is me also from the inside talking to people that may have a different view and providing education and being like, if you had a thought that this was the right way to address the situation, it's not, because you've been fed wrong information, or you may have felt that the information you got was correct. Here's other views on a situation. So there is
Yeah, but
internal
friendly, we're
education
always
that's
gonna hit a
going.
wall with like Islam is Islam and Islam prescribes a certain thing, be it the
Okay,
Quran, be it
well
the
then
Hadith.
just cancel
Even
it
if
then.
you're a
Then Joy,
Quranist,
let's just cancel
it's
it.
problematic. So we're gonna butt heads either way. So this bridge, like, while your
Well,
intention is
then
so
burn it.
useful
Then
and
burn the bridge then.
well,
Then
no,
burn it.
but
Then burn the
then
thing
how do we,
then.
well, then, what good is that then? So where, because you fall
And
on the
then
other
that's where
side,
we
right?
are.
But you are
Then
so
just burn
much
the
more
yeah.
humanistic. So that's sad because you are way more inclined to feeling that any human life that's lost is a human life that's lost, as opposed to celebrating the death or the wounding or, like whatever happened to Salman Rushdie. If you're not applauding that, you're a good person. And you're a good person beyond what Islam teaches you to be. So we're always going to butt heads because Islam
I
teaches
take
you
it.
to be
Well,
this more violent. Yeah.
okay. Well, we disagree. So then that's it.
Hey,
We
real quick,
But
disagree.
we,
I don't
that's
feel.
what, okay. But
It's
anyway, yeah, back to
maybe.
Derek. Sorry,
I
I'm so sorry. This is Derek channel, is his
well,
platform.
let me.
Back to Super Chats. Derek, go for it.
No, you're
Sorry,
fine.
friendly.
You're fine. You're fine. Friendly. Don't burn the bridge. Don't stop. Keep talking. Keep having these conversations. Keep learning. You're under the line of fire, obviously, right now with everybody with the chat. Don't stop trying to have the conversations with people on both sides. That's my encouragement. I definitely
And I
think they're tough
appreciate you
ones.
reaching out and always talking to us.
I'm.
And I appreciate
I'm.
maybe the threats you've gotten from your side. I said that on Sunday Scoop, and I reiterate that. I really appreciate you talking to us in the manner that you do. But again, I share the same concerns as AP and Harris, and obviously the wider concerns. But I appreciate that you are somebody there who can have a constructive Socratic conversation. So yeah, thank you.
Super chat, real quick. Seeking Truth. Would he be okay killing ex-Muslims in a Muslim state? What are your thoughts of that? And then I have a
No,
couple
I've said
more
it
statements.
100 times. No,
Thank you.
it didn't.
Amen
There
to
were
that,
other
man.
options available.
You're a better Muslim than
It's
Islam. You're better than
Like
Islam.
no.
like
Stop doing that.
what? Can you,
Listen, what
what
listen.
options?
It's the truth. It's the truth, friendly. You are better than Islam. I'm
You
sorry. It's
listen.
the
You need to
truth.
listen.
You,
Listen. Can you always
you've
say
got to
that
own
to
up to
me?
it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Friendly Muslim, what options are available?
Listen. When can I finish? listen.
Go ahead.
It makes it difficult when I have conversation and it's like, oh, you're better than Islam, you're better than this. Like it's like you're talking down, and I can't move forward. Like literally, when I'm frustrated right now, I've got Muslims messaging me going, "Bro, we really want you to have conversations with people. You seem to be able to, hold conversations and make things happen." And I'm in the back doing a lot of work at the moment, and I'm literally 3 weeks from some really perhaps groundbreaking conversations. So,
That's
like,
beautiful, friendly, but you
so
disagree with the
please,
tenets of
just
Islam. That's what I'm saying. That's beautiful.
according to
Everything you're
you,
saying is an idealistic, beautiful world, but you disagree with the tenets of Islam that say I
I
should be
disagree with
killed
you
right
personally.
now. We couldn't be having this conversation. So therefore, you're better than Islam. That's all I'm saying you need to recognize.
I think it's irrelevant. We clearly know that Friendly Muslim has a different version of Islam, and I've got no problem with that. I mean, you have a different understanding of Islam. I have a different understanding of Islam. I don't really care if you have a rosy picture of Islam and you think, Mufti Abu Lay's version of Islam is probably, closer to the truth. Fair enough. I mean, what we're concerned, our primary concern is the violent Islam that we know of, that risks our lives. So
I'm
if
concerned
you
about
can
that
help us get
too.
rid of it,
I'm scared of that.
and that's it, yeah. Yeah, and that's more
I
power to you.
I get
I don't care,
anxiety, bro. Now, like honestly, since these stuff since that, since that Deborah situation that happened, bro, I start getting anxiety when these attacks start happening because I'm accountable to you and Nuria and Derek about trying to move the conversation forward. Like
and
I'm
AP.
trying stuff and yeah, and Ridwan also. I am. I mean, look, I've I've always spoken to him respectfully when we've shared a panel before. We've spoken 2 other times, and it was a jovial conversation. It wasn't like we've had now, you know. But
No, but
yeah,
this conversation had to happen because that was very fair questions.
I'm just still curious about the relevant thing here. Friendly Muslim, you said there are different options for apostates in a Muslim state. Like what?
let's just say like if there's a threat of life, like if your apostasy is leading to sedition or treason or harmful acts to other people, then that would be a jurisprudence situation that they would deal with. I'm not in depth a legal expert on fiqh. I'm really not, and I don't even think that I'm in a position to answer these questions in terms of legal rulings. And I'm just a layman. I'm not anything special. I'm a layman who's learning, who's speaking to people like Harris, learning about things that I didn't know that are happening in the world. Speaking to Nuria, finding about different aspects of things. That's where I sit at the moment.
My
This is
friend,
the
it'll
first
become a
time.
lot easier.
I was gonna say this is the first time I've heard Friendly Muslim talk this much in an episode. I'm not gonna lie, his voice is given out. Yeah.
Sorry, very quickly, I want to say
A few more comments, and then I do want to wrap things up here. So
Friendly Muslim, I appreciate you saying that you're trying to understand, you're trying to make sense of it. I know you're pretty well educated on this subject, but I think you probably run into answers that you don't like, and that's why you're not willing to accept them. So it might be easier for you to if you just let go of this, just become friendly, drop the Muslim, because ex-Muslims were taken by Abdullah from you.
Look, dude. I mean, it just always revolves around to this, doesn't it? I should be able to be Muslim without,
Friendly Muslim, you like me because I say, you know what, stay the Muslim that you are. But I hope that, more people would act like you. I'm not going to lie, with the demeanors and have a nice way where we might disagree on this panel about this. But
if Bradford and Manchester, all of Rochdale was filled with people like you, life would be sweet. But it's not. That's the problem. But
it's
back
not.
to Jonathan Super
They're
Chat.
writing in the comments that I'm not a real Muslim. I'm a fake Muslim. I sit with the Islamophobes. Those are the Muslims that I also have to contend with. Also,
and take a stand against them, though. That's the thing. Take a stand, and I'm telling you, there are plenty of Muslims that I'm fairly confident that feel that way too. There's both sides. We need to make a change within the groups, and it's going to take people like you doing so, who say, I am a Muslim, I'm proud to be a Muslim, but I'm also not in the 700s. You know, I'm not going to
Amen
live in
to
Islamic
that.
State. So I'm a human being who cares. Like, this is the thing. I want you to be who you are, bro. Like, I don't want you to change. Never have I ever said that. Now, maybe someone on the panel might disagree. That's fine. We disagree. We're still friends. I'm saying,
Oh yeah,
bro, we
Tarek,
need people
his
like
friendly
you.
Muslim said, how do I become more feminist? And we were like, leave Islam. But that's a different story. Anyway, back to your super chat.
No, I
But
don't. Yeah, go ahead.
but friend Listen, I also wanted to say we spoke about this on Sunday that like even some people from our side who shout at people like you that all takia, he's lying, and I said, look, unfortunately, you're gonna if you want to play. I don't know who was it. Steve Jobs said it that if you want to make people happy, go sell ice cream or something like that. So I mean, if you want to do something, and if you really are very passionate about it, you're gonna face the heat from both sides. Muslims are gonna some radical Muslims are gonna say, well, you're a closeted apostate or something, and then people from this side are gonna call you doing taqiyya or something. But you got to stick to your guns, as MythVision said. Just stand up to them. What do you think? We get heat from both sides as well. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. But if you have a bigger goal, you're gonna have to stand up to these people.
Yeah, look,
I appreciate it. Friendly Muslim, get the last say,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, speaking, I don't hold any weight. I don't have 100,000 subscribers. I'm very new into knowing any of these people. And I am talking about. I'm one of the only Muslims talking to ex-Muslims, talking to atheists, and building some sort of relationship and having dialogue, and then encouraging others to do the same and changing their view on people. So we don't agree on all the things that people say. I don't agree with things Harris might say. I don't agree with the way Ridwan, deals with things and says certain things. But that this is part of the engagement of trying to work our way through it. It's new ground. I might fail at it. I might fail miserably. But
No, you
at the
won't.
end of the sorry,
Rome wasn't built in
how
a
it
day.
goes.
So go for 5 years, 10 years. Don't worry about the number of subscribers. Who knows? Like in 5 or 10 years time. And then this is my prediction. Let me become a prophet now. Things never remain the same. I always say they either evolve or they devolve, and I reckon it's gonna evolve. The violent version of Islam, the Dawah guys, or all these modern Muslim proselytizers have hijacked. That is not sustainable in the 21st century. It's just gonna be. It's gonna decline. So who knows? 5 years later, you might have 100,000 subscribers.
Yep, you might be the hot spot in actual conversations about Islam in the future, honestly. But I would think better of yourself and don't think lowly of yourself. Don't think I'm just this, I'm just that. Sure, you're new, I get it, but no, man, go in there and be the driving force that changes things in your own community. The same way I'm trying to have people have conversations and do things. Everybody's trying to do something they think is unique and special. And thanks for sitting here so long. I'm glad that you guys have calmed down a bit. And I know it's a very tough subject, especially when what has happened. I mean, Salman Rushdie got attacked, and I wanted to have a conversation about that and how there is a tradition that goes back way early into Islam about this. We did talk about some of that. I brought up Sean Anthony's paper. I hope to do an episode on this to educate people so they can understand more about early traditions and what's going on. That is what we do here at MythVision. If I can, I'd like to start with ladies first. Nuria, tell us about your YouTube channel. Nuria?
Hi, yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this is my YouTube channel. It's called Holy Humanist. Basically, because I'm an ex-Muslim from a Sunni background, it's largely focused on Islam at the minute. But yeah, I've interviewed people from various religions as well. But the entire focus of the channel is women's rights and Islam and how they are inherently incompatible. So yeah, if you know any questioning Muslims or any ex-Muslim women, please direct them towards my channel, because the more voices, the better. And I wanna make the channel a complete safe space for ex-Muslim women or questioning women, to come and be able to like voice their opinions, voice their thoughts, voice their experiences, be heard, be validated. And it's not judgmental, it's not confrontational. We're just going to keep it real and just like have chats. And yeah, I talk about various issues on Sunday with Haris Sultan, and then I interview people as well, and I delve into like certain historical aspects of Islam that interest me. I'm going to do a video soon on Khadija, Muhammad's very first wife, and her influence on him, and basically how she was the real mastermind of Islam. But how it's so ironic because a woman was the mastermind of an ideology that became so misogynistic. But yeah, that is to be continued, people. But yeah, please subscribe and yeah.
Thank you, Naria. I hope they subscribe to your YouTube and check out the content you're doing. Harris, since you're not often here, tell us, you and Naria do a kind of co-host thing, but what channel are you wanting to plug here for everybody so they can check you out?
We just, I have a couple of channels. Obviously, for the English audience, it's Haris Sultan, just my name. Yeah, I do a
Harris
weekly
Insulting?
show. No, just Haris Insulting. No, Haris Sultan. So,
okay.
HARRIS, yeah. Yeah, I do a weekly show with Nuria called Sunday Scoop. We just go through weekly stories, Islam related, religion related, or sometimes just social issues basically. So yeah, it's yeah. I hope I'm sure you like it.
Yeah, hold on. So let me get this right. I just put your last name in because I couldn't even hear what you said. You said Harris and
Sultan, like king, sultan, as you guys probably say it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. That's me right there.
All right, Haris, calm down, yeah? If we start going into last names,
you're a king. We get it, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, mate. And there's a Khan in the house. Like, don't even start.
Save a throne for one of us too. No, seriously. There's the YouTube channel. Please go subscribe to Harris's channel. I was having a hard time understanding what he was saying there. But yes, they have the Sunday Scoop. They work together, and there's always some really good content over there that you can check out. So go subscribe. He's got a pretty big following here, and you've engaged with some of the Dawa crowd for a while, back and forth, of course. Apostate Prophet, tell us about your channel. What's your goals with it?
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just have a YouTube channel, and I'm a YouTuber for those who don't know. And
oh my God, AP, I did not know.
Tell us about this thing we didn't know about.
I have some subscribers. I have no idea.
No way.
I make complete garbage videos. Look at that stuff.
Who's the cheeky booty guy?
That's my friend who also is featured on my channel and who gives great wisdom on all kinds of matters. He recently joined me. He's doing some great work. Yeah, you see Michaela Peterson.
That was pretty cool how you made that happen, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, she came on my channel for some reason. But yeah, that's what I do. I just want to tell people stuff that I think, and I would like to have more subscribers. And I would like everyone to also subscribe to Derek MythVision and to Holy Humanist and to Haris Sultan and to Friendly Muslim. So yeah.
Now I wish, Friendly Muslim, if you had a YouTube channel right now, man, I'd be giving you a shout out. You'd get some followers and people who would check you out. Even if they were there to criticize you, like, you know how often I'm sure I get.
Yeah, I can't. I've got some Muslim stuff that's flowery, so I don't really need.
Is it on? Do you have a YouTube channel? I mean, is that your channel?
Yeah, yeah.
So okay. Oh, this is Friendly Ex-Muslim. We know. So here it is. You only got 45 subscribers, man.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like, mate, if you're serious about bridging the gap, like, I know you live in the UK, like, come talk. We can have actual productive conversations because there are legit Sharia councils in the UK. and there are organizations that are trying to counter this. So if you seriously want to be a bridge and you want to be serious in your discussion, and it's not just a way to, like, be available on everyone's platform, this conversation can actually be taken on a very serious level. And I work in a position where we can push it forward, and we can even move it forward into a parliamentary level. So if you're serious about bridging this gap, but that's what AP and Horace have made me aware of today, is if you're peddling the narrative of certain people who call for our deaths, that's something I need to investigate separately. So, but yeah, either way, I think that the fact that you have a presence on YouTube and you're trying to do what you do, I commend that very much. So thank you.
Okay, let's just say someone previously has said something, and now through my conversation saying, listen, we need to be aware of what we're saying, how we're speaking, what we're doing, and how your understanding of certain situations. Is that a bad thing, or would you encourage me to keep on talking to these people from the inside, perhaps?
I would, yeah, but as long as it's like not just fruitless, because a lot of it just seems like it's just, yeah, these are lovely words, but what's actually on a pragmatic level happening? Like what's actionable from this? Because you've still got that one side who thinks the way they do, and you've still got us who are saying what we're saying, and then there's just you in the middle who's having conversations with both. And as I said to you on Sunday Scoop, a lot of the news that you want us to show is where Muslims are at, like, the receiving end of violence, or they're the victims. And by all means, we will show it, because we will stand up for anti-Muslim bigotry wherever we see it. But again, it's very one-sided. So, I mean, I, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm still waiting for the answer of how we bridge this gap. I don't think you can. That's why I think secularism and one law for all is just the only way forward, because you cannot integrate or assimilate as a Muslim community in a Western land and try and wish for Sharia, but try and abide by those laws,
I mean,
and then
I
have the
don't have.
audacity to use freedom of law against that country to ban films, sorry, like The Lady of Heaven. Like, what is that all about? What?
That's a whole
May,
different situation.
can I leave? I need to go.
AP,
Sure.
you
Sorry,
may.
AP.
I will
It was
let
so
you.
nice having you.
I'll let you come back into heaven when it's time.
Yes, with
Don't worry.
pleasure.
I
will
got
do
you.
it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Nuria, Harris, Friendly
Thanks,
Muslim,
brother.
Derek, and thanks
Stay
everyone.
away from Islam.
Bye, AP. Stay away from Islam.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Come
Okay.
back, mate. Come back.
I'm posting Friendly Muslim. We're going to show them what love is like. We're going to show them that no matter what, we're going to love them into the arms of secularism. No, seriously, though, I do want people to go support him. Even if you're critical, this is what it's about, creating a community, having the dialogue. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. You have been a blast. Seriously, I have just been trying to allow you guys to speak and not interrupt. And
Derek, I love that. And I love that I can speak to Friendly Muslim, knowing that if I was to encounter Friendly Muslim, he does not want me dead. He would speak to me as opposed to wanting me dead.
Right.
And that, as an ex-Muslim, is a beautiful thing for me to ask for. And I love the fact that that's true. Well, that's it.
Look at his hairdo. I'm not gonna lie. Friendly Muslim looks like he's probably like Rico Suave over here, you know.
No, but I mean, we've spoken a lot. I mean, me, Harrison, and Nuria have spoken for I don't know, 6 to 8 months now. So we have it. Changes. We still
But you don't want me dead, right? Friendly Muslim, like, you don't want me killed.
I never did, my love.
Oh, so you'd be sad if I got killed, right? For just saying that. Thank you.
Seriously, I'm concerned. Like, you going to Berlin, I'm actually concerned. And Harris, please make sure you're with her.
That's
I just
so
want to
cute.
Yeah, but we know each other. Like, I've always said, like, yo, you're in London, and please just, I am concerned. It's not. I'm worried about Harris. I worry about everyone when these situations happen.
You're actually so sweet. Okay, yeah. Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be very careful. Don't worry.
You are awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for popping in, Harris, at the last minute.
Yeah,
and
sorry,
joining.
Derek. We're going to a conference in Germany tomorrow, and there's going to be like so the founder of Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain is going to be there, and Richard Dawkins is going to be there,
Oh, wow.
and one of the first dissenters of Islam who wrote a book against Islam under a pseudonym called, like, he was called Ibn Warraq, and he's now shown his face. He's also going to be there. So a couple of high-profile
Wow.
people, and then like, quite a lot of us apostates and blasphemers are going to be there, and some like apostate LGBTQ plus members in one venue. So it's kind of scary after what's happened with Salman Rushdie, but like obviously we're going ahead and security is extremely tight. Like the German state is on it. So they are going to be like watching people head to toe. Like make no mistake about it. But yeah, so that's happening this weekend.
Dude, be careful. Obviously, I hope more people wake up and find a better way of life. Seriously, everybody go subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's do this again. Let's have fun and keep talking
Sure.
about these things.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Derek. Good night, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Eric.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
And until next
Okay, no,
time,
bye.
never forget, we are MythVision.